Recording in progress.
Okay. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we move on, we do have one commissioner that's zoomed in there. Okay, first item is the public comment. So this is a period where members of the public can address the commission.
Dave, Commissioner, just a quick request. We have some contractors on board to help us with a big project. We're asking if we could just have a moment to allow Kevin to introduce them, and then if the commission would be okay, we would ask that we move the business items for compensation board recommendation classification review 7C and D to be moved up in front of public comment. This is specifically because of our contractors, and they're doing work, and this was the week they could come in, so that Kevin and Lindsay can excuse themselves and go and continue with that work.
Okay. So our first item of business will be a business item, and 7C compensation board recommendation for fiscal year 25, and Lindsay Grogan.
Okay, thank you for your flexibility so that I can go down and continue our meetings. Okay, so the first item is compensation board. The compensation board is comprised of volunteers, professionals in the HR finance world throughout the community that make recommendations for the elected officials for the ORS 204112. We met on February 15th, and it was a very thoughtful discussion. They evaluated, the market analysis, the duties of the officers, the size of the budget administered, the number of incumbents in their department, and at the end, they did end up recommending some increases. So their first increase that they recommended was a 3% step plus a 4.3% COLA increase to the assessor, the clerk, the justice of the peace, the sheriff, and the treasurer positions. And then they recommended an increase to the commissioner position from $63,950 to $70,000 a year, plus a 4.3% COLA, and an increase to the district attorney stipend from $12,375 a year to $16,000, plus a 4.3% COLA. So just a little bit of background. The reason why they recommended a 4.3% COLA is because in our sheriff's office union contract language, they had negotiated a cost of living for, I'll read the exact language, but it says the base wage rates and the wage schedule shall increase based on the consumer price index as prepared by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, with a minimum increase of 2% and a maximum increase of 5%. The increase will be calculated on the average of the monthly increases for the prior calendar year, rounded to the nearest tenth. So the average for 2023, based on the language above, was 4.3%, which is also what we're building into the budget for the non-union staff as well. And then the other two groups that we have, the AFSCME Road and the AFSCME general units, are not yet decided because of the timing of their contracts. So I did attach the cost of living history and the CPI average from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. And then I also attached the drafted compensation board meeting minutes. Do you have any questions or?
Any questions? Jeff, you got any questions of Lindsay? Hey, Roy, you got,
I don't think. I'm sure to speak.
I don't know, Jeff, do you want to chat? Do you have anything to say, Jeff, or you want to add to this? Can you hear us?
He said he could hear us, but he was, working on, an option. Trying to reach that, so right now it doesn't seem like he's available.
In the past, it just got a phone and then you could, repeat what his comments are if you want that.
He just said no questions.
Okay, the suggested motion is to forward the recommendations of the compensation board to the budget committee.
I move that we forward recommendations of the compensation board.
Do I hear a second? I think we need to make contact with him before we go.
Okay, if you'd like to just hold on the vote and hear the next item, if you'd like to proceed with that and then revisit this one. Okay. I'm sending him a phone number to join by phone, so he'll have both.
Okay. Okay, good enough. Okay, so we'll put that on hold. This hasn't had a second yet. So we'll go to 7D, classification review for fiscal year 25, Lindsay Grogan, Matthew Jensen, and Kevin Enns.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so, as you know, it's budget season and we're reviewing our FTEF and reclassification requests, to build. If approved, they were to build into the budget for fiscal year 2025, no, 2025. So per the classification policy, only the Board of Commissioners may authorize the addition of any new positions based upon the recommendation of the Personnel Review Committee, which is the administrator, the finance director, and the HR director. We had several requests this year and we've narrowed them down, and we do have 5 recommendations to forward to you for approval. Let's see here. So some of the key points behind each request I'd like to just highlight. Each one that we're forwarding and basically our thoughts around it. So we have one reclassification request, and that would be the associate planner to the GIS analyst. Matt, do you kind of want to spearhead that one, just to kind of talk about what that position would be doing?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So with the GIS analyst, this is a position currently being used as a slash planner. We've just seen the demand for the GIS. The county GIS slash planner is supporting a lot of communities, including the Port, Boardman, Irrigon, special districts, and working extensively with the water issue. Stephen is the one who's in that position. It's a great position, and with the bringing on of our senior planner, that allows it to alleviate some of the planning activities on their plate. There'll still be a backup for the planning, but we'd like to put that position out to more availability to all the departments and make it more or less a general GIS a specialist for the county and all of the associated big organizations that we work with and provide those services to. This GIS is kind of it's a niche market that has great implications in providing visuals and tracking information. And so we believe that the demands that we're having on, whether it's with siting of some of these energy sites, the CREZ sites, to the well water testing and that should, and just the regular operations of the governments and the government's bodies that we support justify having this GIS analyst. And so we're hoping to transition that, allow them to focus more or less 90% on GIS, 10% on planning, and then have with the other adjustments that we have in place, we'll be able to pick up the load on the planning activities. We would still have this position report to the planning, but it would be planning director. But we would have this this position would be available to provide services throughout the county, which they're already doing. It's just that it would be specifically made available and not have any planning, as much planning distractions. So we think it's a good move for to maximize resources and provide services through in and out of the.
Okay. Any questions from Matt? No contact yet?
Not yet,
Okay.
and it looks like he just jumped on, so maybe he's rebooting.
Okay, well, first, I think we're gonna go ahead with this one. So first, I wanna, see, is there any question, do you have anything you want to add, Jim?
No, I think you.
Okay. Okay, suggested motion is to forward.
Oh,
We can do all
yeah.
five together.
Yeah, that's typically what's been done, but it's up to you guys.
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay,
We'll go with the other.
Okay. So the next ones I would like to review are the FTE requests. So we have a request for parks maintenance specialist based, so right now we have 4 part-time temporary park maintenance positions budgeted for the parks. Those positions have proven to need to be more of the full-time status. And our recommendation is to eliminate 2 of the temporary part-time positions and replace those with new full-time positions. And then in addition, the other remaining half-time positions, the 2 would be decreased to a quarter FTE, which would be basically a temporary summer hire. So with this adjustment, the actual increase would be approximately 100,000. And our recommendation is to increase the general fund allocations for those positions to 50,000, and then the department would be expected to make up the additional 50% with fees and in managing their budget. So after review, we did see that the parks hadn't increased any fees in, what was it, 8?
Yeah, so
years?
one of the things that we discussed at length with the parks manager and public works was the fees that hadn't been reviewed in about 7 years. Certainly we want to avoid, in a department or fund that's primarily grant funded, we wanted to avoid having to run to the general fund anytime there's a significant change or increase. We want to rely as much on those grants as possible, but the timing with the seasonal nature of the revenues that comes from the park, they didn't feel like they'd be able to do a fee review and come up with a recommendation if there was changes recommended and whatnot. And so it's intended to do that, but they felt like we were probably halfway through FY25 before they were able to complete that. And so the recommendation that I suggested was, and maybe we do, for fiscal 25, rely on transfers of other funds, probably general funds, to cover that first 6 months of the year. And then hopefully by that time, they've been able to further do a fee review and potentially generate some revenue and manage some stuff on the expenditure side. So we're not absorbing all of it from general funds.
Matt, did you have anything you wanted to add on this?
Just one thing, Jeff.
Yes,
Yes. Okay, good. Jeff's here. And if you want to start your video as well, if you'd like to, or if you just like to, yeah, by voice, however you'd like to proceed. As far as the recommendations on this, I appreciate the work that the committees went through and the departments. We had a lot of requests, and quite frankly, we said no to several of them, and a couple of them, like Kevin had mentioned, there's grant implications in it, and so we've asked them, let's look at it. One of the ones that, quite frankly, will likely bring back to the Board of Commissioners is additional weeds employees. But right now we're looking at funding it through general funds, where we might be able to incorporate that into agreements with the solar and the wind turbine projects, because that's where they will be doing the work. And so we don't want to proceed with that until we know that revenue flow is there. We also received other requests for veteran service and bringing full-time. That's another grant-driven program that we'd like to consider. So with the current policy that we have, this is the one we're implementing with budget. Any others that might change because of grant funding or others or other funds becoming available, we'll also have a process that we can bring back to the VOC. This is an increase, but we've got growth, we've got a lot of challenges, and we do have some revenues coming in to help facilitate this. And so we're hoping to maximize that, and particularly for the parks, do a little lift for this year, and then implement some fees to help lessen that going forward, because our parks are just great, and not that we want to charge an arm and a leg, but we're undercharging right now. We haven't adjusted those. So as we look at these, fully support these requests, and hope the VOC will give proper consideration to it.
Okay. Any questions of? How about you, Jeff? Got any questions of Matt or Lindsay, Kevin?
No, I think they explained everything.
Okay.
So if I could just touch base on the three additional, okay, perfect, thank you.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do
Okay, so the other FT requests that we're recommending today, we have 3 positions, full-time positions for patrol deputy. These will replace the part-time temporary grant-funded positions that we have currently for Marine and Parks. Those have proven to be especially difficult to fill because of the limited duration and the temporary status. And the sheriff's office would very much say that they think it would be a full-time position based on the amount of workload in the Parks and Marine. And so it would be an assignment to the Parks and Marine, and then they would help with patrol during the off seasons, and much like the school resource officer. And then the Parks and Marine grants would help cover a portion of these expenses. The other one is a patrol deputy for the city of Irrigon contract. It is conditional upon the funding by the city of Irrigon, and that's not finalized yet, is it, Brian?
No, that's why I'm here.
Okay.
We finalized that today.
Oh, okay, there you go. Timing. And then the other FTE position would be for communications dispatcher for 911. We have employees that with our staffing levels right now, that sometimes there's only one working at a time, which proves, very difficult with logistics or even potentially liability. Anything that you guys would like to add to those requests?
I guess just a comment, and this is just for information purposes. The committee, we were fully supportive of these recommendations that we're making. I just want to clarify the 911 communications dispatcher. That's not that's going to end up being a general fund funded position. Currently, there's already some general fund support going to support the operations of dispatch. So any increases in that without related increases in the revenue share that we get from the state for the 911 tax. It's going to be supported by the general fund. Again, fully, support the recommendations that we're making. Just wanted to clarify funding source for that one.
Mhm.
And are we currently short on dispatcher positions now?
Are we short staffed?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's just two, hopefully, the ones that are short staffed. Or is it the additional?
When you say are we short, you mean do we have vacancies currently?
Yeah,
yeah.
so, and this is on top of the vacancies. right?
Mhm.
Jeff, you got any questions?
No, I think Junior had the question that I had. About having vacancies already, so hopefully we can get the vacancies filled and then fill these extra positions and relieve some of the burden off the dispatchers.
The vacancy, there's just one vacancy, right? And it's pretty recent.
But we actually now have two.
Two, okay.
We just had one that resigned due to family and they're moving out of the area.
So we have been staffed up, we're just a little bit down right now, and would like to get back up and then a little more.
Okay, is that it, or can we group all this together now? You hear any more on that?
That's,
I don't have that page in front of me, but,
So.
yeah, that's
I
it.
make a motion, if you want to.
okay.
So I make a motion to approve the recommended classification request for fiscal year 24-25.
Second,
Been moved and seconded, further discussion? All in favor?
I,
All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay?
and if we could just revisit the compensation board. So, I already made a motion, you want me to make it again?
You gotta just do it again, if you're moved on past it, might have already been, if it wasn't a second field for that.
So I move to, forward the recommendations to the compensation board to the budget.
second,
Been moved and seconded, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Good.
And then just into the consultants. That's okay.
If that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
I forgot that.
You'll remember,
Yeah,
a
go ahead.
couple months back, we talked about some technology projects and, that had originally been budgeted for, but we couldn't due to some limitations with our current systems. And at that time, I made a recommendation to, redirect some of those budget funds, that we had to, a project that would help us address some of those technology limitations and help us guide and basically take us through a evaluation of a new enterprise resource planning system, so think finance and human resources and associated modules. And in that recommendation, I suggested that we hire a consulting firm to help lead that process. It's a very time consuming and detailed and complex process to because it's such an impactful decision. We want to make sure that we use a good process for that. So I wanted to introduce the consultant that we selected from the organization. The consultant firm is Barry Dunn, and we have David Ledbetter and Tammy, don't remember your last name, and Shannon, don't remember your last name either. They're on site. I'm bad with last names, sorry. They're on site this week and doing what's a fact-finding exercise. So we've spent all day yesterday with groups from all the departments of the counties, varying, maybe we had 10 people and then maybe we had up to 40 people in the room or online to gather information and gather facts to help take us through this process. We're going to be doing that for the rest of today, this afternoon, and tomorrow as well. So I'll let you guys kind of maybe talk about this overview.
I'll just say just a quick thing about our firm. So, like Kevin said, we're from the firm, Barry Dunn, firm is headquartered in Portland, Maine. We have offices scattered employees. What kind of sets us apart is that we are agnostic in the vendor marketplace. We don't have any formal partnerships or anything like that. So any recommendations we make on a software basis comes from the best perspective of the county. So the three of us all have experience working in depth with local government and for local government as well, whether it's public schools or my career off in the county. But the way that we go through this is to start with what we're doing this week, meet with the needs of the departments. That goes as an input to an RFP deliverable that we'll work on. The marketplace today is far different than what it was when you guys selected your current product. But we want to facilitate good competitive selection that meets the needs of this organization. We'll then leverage our experts, including this team, to help determine a preferred vendor and negotiate that contract on behalf of the county and get everything set up for implementation. What makes this project particularly special to me is that I was born and raised in Eastern Washington. I lived in Phoenix for the last few years and just recently located my family back to the Midwest. But I was just born and raised like 15 minutes outside of Washington State University. So it's kind of like, this is the closest I ever get to home for work. And as excited as it was for our team when they said, where are we going? And I said, we get to go to our weekend. And you guys wait. I just want to thank the staff. Everybody's been great with since we kicked our project off. And we know this is a time commitment from the department heads to let us use their staff. We use it as if the times are on. And I get to say it on public record, but go Cougs. So if you guys have any questions for me, happy to take it. But I will say that people are friendly here, just like they were in my little hometown of 2,500 people, where people waved at us on the street last night when we went and had dinner. So they were in our sessions, and I thought that was great. But thank you for your time.
Okay, so we're gonna have a nice smooth rollout and transition, right?
We're doing the best we can. Done about 110 of them when we started out. Okay.
Good job to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing is I have the IGA for sheriff services towards the top of business items, under sheriff Snyder has the needs to go through. So I'm gonna figure that out.
Okay. So, we're gonna move up the IGA for the sheriff, he has a meeting to go to. So, our undersheriff.
Yeah, that's under here.
You can kind of just explain a little bit about this agreement. Not big long detail, but the same as last year, isn't it?
Yes, Commissioner, a little different.
A little bit different.
We've been doing 1-year contracts. This is, that you have in front of you today is a 2-year contract. It is, the total cost of the 2-year contract is $230,826.42 with a COLA increase July 1 of 2025. And we're not exactly sure what that's going to be, but that is written in the contract that it will go up for the COLA for 2025. Other than that, it's exactly the same contract as before. It's contracting 40 hours a week within the city limits of Irrigon. The sheriff and the city administrators have reviewed and signed the contract already and look like it. And it is our request and recommendation that the commissioners, after review, sign and move forward with the contract as well.
Okay. Any questions of the undersheriff? Jeff, you got any questions?
No, I do like the fact that it went to a 2-year instead of 1 year. Just think it's easier for everybody.
Absolutely.
I agree, a little more stability for everybody.
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve it.
Yeah, make a motion to approve and sign the IGA for the sheriff's services within the city.
Second,
Moving and seconding and further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carried. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we're on to public comment. Thanks all of you that waited to have public comments. We appreciate it. Got to get some of those things out of the way that people are going to leave. So, okay, so public comment. This is the time that people, public can make comments to the Board of Commissioners. Just the rules are, we're going to ask people in the room first for public comment. We ask that you come up, state your name and what town you're from, and if you're affiliated with an organization, if you'd say that too, so we know, kind of who you are. And then after the room, then we're gonna ask people on Zoom if they have any comments. Okay, there's a 3-minute time limit. I ask you that you keep it civil, no personal attacks on the commissioners, the staff, or anybody really. We'll just keep it on the issues facing us. So with that said, is there anybody in the room that would like to comment? Emily?
1 second, Chair.
Emily Roberts with Nara County Health District. I want to publicly address 4 topics that are included in a letter to the commissioners contained in today's board packet. First, after consulting with legal counsel, MCHD has determined that we can provide the following backup emergency medical services countywide after March 12th, when we cease to be the ambulance service provider. Our quick response teams located in each community may respond as needed to medical calls to provide stabilizing care. And we may transport patients by ambulance if appropriately dispatched. And if a delay in transport would place the patient at risk of harm or death based upon the professional judgment of the care provider on scene. The same holds true if assistance is requested by officials at the scene of an accident, motor vehicle, or otherwise. We will not have sufficient staff or resources to respond to all medical calls. And our assistance should be requested only when the county's selected ambulance service provider is unable to respond timely. Second, we strongly encourage the county to require BFRD to engage in reciprocal agreement with the Tri-County Ambulance Association, which MCHD will continue to administer. Membership covers payment of any balance owed after insurance coverage for medically necessary ambulance service. And members receive benefits in over 50 other service areas. Third, based on comments in BFRD's last board meeting, we have concerns about their knowledge of Pioneer Memorial Hospital services and their willingness to transport patients to PMH when we are the most appropriate facility. We ask that the BOC require BFRD to become familiar with PMH's services and that you closely oversee whether they are transporting patients to the closest, most appropriate facility as required by law. A failure to transfer patients to the closest appropriate facility would place lives at risk and violate the appropriate standard of care. This is a particular concern for strokes and heart attacks. Finally, we want to be clear that Mara County Health District intends to submit a proposal for a 5-year service agreement to provide ambulance service to all of Mara County as soon as the county releases their request for proposals for a permanent ambulance service provider. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else in the room? Yes.
Jody Ferguson. I live in Lexington and I'm also a quick responder. On Monday at 6 p.m., BFRD took over 911 ambulance coverage in Boardman, allegedly to work out dispatch details. I want to make sure that the Board of Commissioners, Administrator, and the public knows that at that time, BFRD started receiving their dispatch 911 calls to their BFRD radio frequency instead of the Morrow County EMS channel. The importance of all these calls being sent through Morrow County EMS radio channel, and more importantly, the phone app called Active Alert, is so that first responders can have the location and the map of where the call is and the awareness that there's a call happening at that time. At some point, you know that BFRD's ambulance is going to be on call in Ione, or maybe even the mountains, when an additional 911 call comes in. Let's say the second call is a baby who is choking and is now unconscious and not breathing. Now, what is the plan? Let him die? QRTs would not be able to respond even if they wanted to, because we're not receiving the information to be able to help. Personally, I think these changes were made because BFRD wants power and control and does not want additional eyes on them. I assure you, they do not have to worry about us coming to every one of their calls, because quite frankly, we're all ready for them to prove themselves without our help. However, we all stand together in agreement that when it's life or death situation, we'll put our pride in our pocket and be there for our community, because we understand what true service is. And we will do that every time, with or without a contract or compensation. This change in dispatching 911 calls leaves the Board of Commissioners with no backup plan in such emergencies, which could be that BFRD is on another call and out of position, one of their ambulances is in an accident or breaks down, a multi-vehicle accident, or a mass casualty incident. I would think that as the board, being responsible for over 12,000 residents, that you would want a safety net. Morrow County Health District's 30 years of experience have shown us that backup crews and plans are necessary, and it's not if it's going to happen, it's when is it going to happen. I would urge you to insist that your dispatch department keep sending the active alert notifications for all Morrow County EMS calls to BFRD and the health district employees as a backup plan. If Morrow County Health District is not part of the backup plan, then the public should be aware that we are not included in the Board of Commissioners plan and that the commissioners, administrator, and BFRD are responsible for the consequences of those choices. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. Anybody else in the room?
And my name is Stuart Dick. I represent Morrow County Citizens for Liberty and Justice. We've initiated a petition drive that in less than 2 weeks, we're almost halfway there. People are listening. Our group has gone up to 330 in 5 weeks. I want to speak first of all on the ambulance service area plan that you're going to be speaking about today. I note that you have 3 ambulances that you are renting. One has 246,000 miles, one 285,000 miles, one 271,000 miles. These are as is. Have you checked these vehicles out? How are you going to equip them? They're worn out. They're used in the metropolitan area. I also noted how you went with a fine-tooth comb with the Morrow County Health District seeking some money that's already been allocated for them. And you were asking about things like Band-Aids and there's no financing information in your packet of what it's going to cost. Would you do the same you did for Morrow County Health District and give us some cost? Second thing I want to talk about is the circuit courthouse. I note in your packet that you finally admitted that you don't have parking. We could have told you that from the beginning. So you've chosen a site that you have no parking for, next to a school you have no public support for, you haven't gone through the public hearing process. So this site, if you spent $2.1 million on it for architect, and you don't have any approval to it, it's ludicrous. And here's the problem we're facing with this. Representative Smith said this courthouse will be placed in Irrigon on June 20. And here, what you've written, Mr. Jensen, is it is important to note that it appears the discussion regarding the courthouse was sparked by concerned residents directly reaching out to Judge Dan Hill and not from a request by BOC to move the courthouse out of Heppner. We see you want to move the courthouse out of Heppner and you're already trying to make excuses of it, but blame it on the people. The people in Heppner don't want this courthouse moved out of Heppner.
30 seconds.
The people of Irrigon don't want the courthouse in Irrigon. We want you to help us. We want you to help our fire department. It makes no sense what you're doing. I feel like Moses going before the Pharaoh right now. I know you're sick and tired of hearing me, but you never listen to a word we say. Give us some answers when you get to these ambulance and courthouse. What you gonna do with this courthouse and what you gonna do with the ambulance? Thank you.
Okay, who's next?
Raymond Akers, Boardman resident. Under correspondence, you got this letter from Morrow County Health District. I just think it's pretty important that everybody knows that I appreciate Morrow County Health District and their drives to protect the community. They're not staffed to do that. It's going to fall all on Boardman Fire Department. It says it right here in their letter.
it must be understood that any response by Morrow County Health District is subject to availability and personnel, as Morrow County Health District will no longer be primary responders. They got other people have left, they're leaving. They're not gonna be, able to be counted on for these backup services. I hope you understand that the implication of this and what it's gonna do to that second or third call that comes in at once, which we can currently cover with Morrow County Health District. They're just not gonna be able to drop what they're doing and rush. I know they'll do everything within their power to protect the folks that they've protected for so many years, but they've said it themselves that they're gonna do their best to back up Boardman. Hope you put some thought process into that, and I guess I'd like to touch base on authorized exemption for compensation bid process, authorizing a request for proposal for construction manager and general contractor that Mr. Jensen is going to be proposing, or I've never seen this for a general contractor before. You just gonna pick who you want to do the construction or services without a bid process. It's not healthy for the county. I think competitive bids are a wonderful thing, and they should be mandatory.
30 seconds.
And this land use hearing, 3 Mile Canyon Farms, that should never even be on the table. It's ag ground, it's grazing ground. It could be pasture, they should have never got past the planning department. I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying that if you follow the rules, that shouldn't, and it should have never got past the planning department to be on your ticket today.
Okay, anybody else in the room? Okay, if there's anybody on Zoom, please raise your hand. I see, Judah.
Maybe not, actually, I got pressed the X, actually. I'm not sure where your hands on there.
Lower, good for the view.
To the right of it.
All right. So I know this KWJEP was one of the first ones. Is that all right?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Hello,
Could you identify yourself and where you're from?
can everyone hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Perfect. My name's Kevin Jepson. I live in Umatilla, but I work for Monroe County Health Department. I am here speaking for myself, and these are not opinions or statements of the county health department. I'd like to talk about Boardman Fire and their capabilities at this time that we are supposedly supposed to rely on them to support the county, why health district cannot. Currently, according to Boardman Fire's website, they have 6 full-time paramedics and 1 EMTI, which can run ALS calls. They need a minimum staffing of 9 paramedics and 9 EMTs to staff only the first out ambulances. This does not include second out ambulances if another call comes out. It is my opinion that Boardman Fire cannot support this level of service without detriment to the people of this county. Now we have to talk about cost. The county is now spending $3,975 a day paying it to Boardman Fire to serve this county. That does not include the 10% administration fee or cost of the ambulance that the county will be supplying. You are supplying the ambulances. I couldn't find any exact costs. I didn't see anything, but I'm roughly guessing from the research I could find on AMR ambulances, it's probably about $1,000 a day for the 3 ambulances. But from my understanding, I'm probably really lowballing that, and it actually would be higher. If we add all these numbers up together, for 1 month of service, you are paying $149,250 a month. Now, this doesn't include the cost of Boardman to the people. Boardman Fire has posted the ambulance service fees on their website, and they are charging for a BLS call, so basic life support, $1,725. That is the base transport. Now, I'll give you a comparison. BLS call for Monroe County has been set at 1,419. Now, if we want to talk about ALS calls, Monroe County's ALS transport is $1,798 towards the people. And insurance hopefully will cover some of that. But Boardman is charging $2,225. These are in-district costs. They have out-of-district costs, which is way more. And it's not clear what they consider out-of-district yet. So does that mean out of Boardman? Does that mean Irrigon and Heppner are going to have to pay the out-of-district costs, which are more? We don't know. It hasn't been stated. There's no guarantee that a person's insurance will be able to cover these costs or even will cover it. It is my opinion that the Boardman Fire cannot provide excellent care to the public. It is also my opinion, working with Boardman Fire medical staff, that I would not trust them with my life. I urge you, the public to prepare for the worst. You may not have an ambulance arrive for hours. Make sure you have a plan in place to take care of yourself if no help arrives. And I would like to ask, if we had Mr. Jensen, you said a while back that you could not accept contracts because you did not have an ASA plan, but then you put out a contract plan to the Boardman.
Your time's up, sir. So, next up would be Scott. Scott Azell. Can you hear us, Scott?
I can. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Scott Azell. I live in Irrigon. I am a member of the Irrigon Fire Protection District Board. I'm also a member of the Monroe County Health District Board. I'm going to pick up where the last speaker kind of left off. You have stated emphatically that you guys are not allowed to negotiate without an approved ASA. That you do not want to negotiate until you have a new one in place. Yet at the same time, the ASA has been returned to you back in late February with proposed changes from Oregon Health Authority. My question would be, are you going to implement those changes and resubmit them? And if so, how long is that going to take? You're going to ask today to bypass the bid process for another project. How is it that you can pick and choose when you need to put things out to bid and when you don't? I'm pretty sure I've been through the training and that there are requirements as to what triggers a bid process and what you can and can't do. And I agree that there's some latitude in there, but it seems like you guys are picking and choosing when you can negotiate and when you can't. You came to the health district and proposed a 5-year contract without, what is my understanding, you guys have not adopted an ASA plan at this point. So you have come to the table and asked to negotiate without an ASA in place that you said you had to have in place. It's really confusing. How can you negotiate on something that hasn't been approved by the commissioners as of yet? To change subjects just a little bit, I want to be clear that from an Irrigon Fire perspective, that there was a phone call made on February 26th at 8:39 a.m. by Chief Hughes to Irrigon Fire Department to our chief, Tom Roberts. He indicated that mutual aid would not be what it has been traditionally. And he indicated that there would be a letter sent stating such.
30 seconds.
We have not yet received that letter. I would also like to comment that Irrigon Fire is going to exercise its right under Oregon Statute 478.702 in terms of annexing some land. So I want to make sure that the Board of Commissioners is aware that we are going to investigate that process and evaluate where we sit in terms of Irrigon Fire District and their area of responsibility. Thank you.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Who's iPhone?
Oh, I just unmuted Kristen, if that's on Kirsten.
Oh, okay, we'll go to Kristen.
Yep,
Could you just say where you're from?
yep,
And if you're associated with anybody.
of course. I'm Kirsten Espinola. I live in Ione and I work for Morrow County Health District, but these are my statements. It has nothing to do with the district. I'm a little upset in the fact that you guys have chosen to have one fully staffed ambulance for the south side. That's kind of scary for me. I don't know how you think that this is okay to have an ambulance for 3 towns that are fairly spread out. And I don't agree with having one ambulance for Irrigon also. I just don't understand your guys' logic on this. You guys have a company that has done it for a long time and they've tried to work with you, and then you come out and say that the district is not trying to work with you. I just don't understand it. I mean, I've been on here 3 or 4 times and I know my voice has not been heard from you guys. I can see it in your face. But I figured I'd come on and say it again. You know, this is not okay. This is not okay. This is not safe. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll go to, who's the iPhone? You gotta unmute them.
iPhone 5.
iPhone 5, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name's Sarah Burke, and I just want clarification on a couple things. There was a few
Could you
things.
say where, Sarah, could you state what city, where you're from?
I work for Morrow County Health District.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted some clarification on a few things that I saw in the Boardman fire proposal. So I know that you guys can't answer questions, but hopefully you would be able to get these answers or at least some clarification by the next meeting. So one is clarification, like Kevin said, on the in-district versus the out-of-district transport costs and the boundary lines. And if the in-district is considered only the Boardman fire area and or if it's the entire county. I'd like clarification on that. Clarification on Boardman Fire about their proposals of if the BOC or the county is buying 3 of the ambulances from Boardman Fire for $170,000 each. And if so, how were the ambulances originally purchased? I'd also like clarification on why they're requiring the BOC to fund 9 to 12 more full-time employees and why they had it posted on their website in January that they had a potential for openings of up to 12 people. And because my understanding was everybody was still in discussions at that time. So that seems a little forward. And my other question is also about what about event standbys? I didn't see anything in the proposal about event standbys. Heppner has a big rodeo coming up, and I just want to make sure that the bull riders and everybody like that is going to take and be well taken care of and make sure that all of the clarification needs to be done and all of the proper planning needs to be done in case there is some sort of incident there. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up is Felipe. Can you hear us? Oh, he's not unmuted. Yeah, there you go. Can you hear us?
For some reason I can't unmute.
Hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we hear you. Could you identify yourself and where you're from, please?
Yeah. I work various places. I currently work for my name is Felipe. My kids are great runners for Irrigon cross country track. The nights there, they have the records there. So
Felipe is talking now.
My kids live in Irrigon. I live in Hermiston. I just want to say good morning to everybody, commissioners and everybody. I just been here since it started. I originally I came on board with 2 employment possibilities with Boardman Fire and Morrow County Health District. And I felt like I had an unfair contract with Chief Hughes because I'm a registered nurse paramedic, 20 years plus as a registered nurse paramedic. He gave me a contract that was wrong, and then it was lower than the other paramedics, and I was supposed to be an RN position also for critical transport. I called him, and then he gave me a new contract. So because of that, I won't work for anybody that's unfair, and I felt deceiving. But anyways, I just see that, I've taken an $18 pay cut just to be a paramedic because I love doing that job. But I just see, it seems like we had a functional EMS agency, but it seems like the commissioners destroyed a contract that was serving Morrow County without any problems. And I was one of those. I'm one of the ground troops. My job ends in 5 days. I don't know why you guys destroyed something that was working. Now you guys are all worried about getting new staff, getting new ambulances, wasting more of the taxpayers' money. I don't know why. Please explain that today instead of going over what you're gonna do. Your process is next to establish more paramedics and ambulances, which we already have. You're destroying a service that was created by Morrow County Health District 30 years ago. And where was everybody there? Instead of taking it apart, how come you don't, if they had any weaknesses, why don't y'all build it instead of taking it apart? I don't understand that. It's pride. We can see through all this. And if it doesn't want to work, I believe in recall. Recall you guys. I mean, it's unfortunate. We want you guys. I mean, I hope you guys do the best. You're thinking with your heart, not with money or anything else. You're supposed to serve the people. I asked my son last night. He's a 15-year-old. I go, Dad, aren't they supposed to be listening to the people? Aren't you? We had Dennis Burke, 25 years CEO at Good Shepherd. He wasn't representing Good Shepherd, but he came at one of these meetings and said, hey, leave Morrow County alone. 25 years plus CEO for Good Shepherd Health District. He came down here at one of your meetings, and it's recorded. And he wasn't representing Good Shepherd, but he said, leave it alone. Leave the EMS alone. And I don't know why. I got 23 years plus. I've never been in this type of. It's weird. Recall if we have to. Recall all you guys. If you don't want to step up to the plate, someone else will. Save this community. Why are we breaking it up? Pride comes before a fall. And you guys know that. And I'd be there in front of your faces. I've done that before. You guys know me. And I'm frustrated. I've been accused of many things of part of this political process. And it's crooked and evil. You guys need to step it up. Look in the mirror.
Fine.
Okay, that's your time. All right, great. Anybody else? Just anybody else, Matt? Put a hand up.
I don't.
Okay, and that concludes the public comment time. Now we will go to number 3, open agenda. Jeff, Roy, do you have anything you want to add to the agenda?
No, I don't.
No? Okay. Next up would be our consent agenda. Are you going to get all those items, Jeff?
No,
You want to pull one out?
no, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I'll,
No, you're right.
no, I'm good. I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as written.
Okay, now here's a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further comment, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Okay, next up we have public hearing. Tamara, are you there?
MC Planning. MC Planning, is Tamara there with you?
No, you have to, she's got her camera on. I'm sorry, I wasn't able to change my name.
Okay. Have her raise her hand so she pops up to the front.
There we go.
Okay, Tamara, can you hear us?
She's muted.
Okay, Tamara, can you hear us?
Yes, but you need to unmute me.
You're unmuted. You're unmuted.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Excuse me, Tamara, before you get started, Tamara, could you, explain, this is our second reading on this. Could you explain what the process is going to be, as far as, any public testimony is there gonna be? Could you just go through that real quick so we all know?
You bet, Chair, and I think that's really helpful. I actually double checked myself. I've done this for a few years, but it's always good to double check. Dan Kearns, our land use counsel, is not on the phone, but I confirmed with him where we have a second reading and where the board has previously opened the land use hearing and took action, made a decision, and closed that hearing. The purpose of this is really just to in a public meeting, really technically does not have to be a hearing, but in a public hearing or a public meeting, you open the meeting and recognize the second reading of the ordinance. So it's not intended for public input because the land use decision's been made. This second reading is a kind of a holdover from our older style of county government.
Okay, and we read, what, the title?
The title, yes. Greg is there. I want to make sure he's on the same page as that, Greg Goebel. So
Yeah, that's correct.
what you do is you read by title, the ordinance 2024-1, which is for 3 Mile Canyon Farms, and the ordinance, 2024-2, which is for the Andrade.
Okay, can Greg read that? Okay, so I want to open up the public hearing. Correct?
Yes, please.
There'll be no public testimony because we already did that. And
Yes.
then he'll, Greg, he'll give us a suggested wording on our motion.
Yes.
On the first one, Greg.
For this point, then, it's officially opening the public hearing for, this would be the, can I see the right time? Right now it's titled 3 Mile Canyon Farm Zone Change. So make sure I have the right number. At ORD-2024-01.
Yes.
And just also be correct, more information is for those who are at the planning commission meetings or for those AC-149-24, also AZM 150-24. Those are all kind of incorporated together, those aspects. So again, this is, we're going to be opening the public hearing. Previously, that was already closed with public testimony. So we're opening the public hearing. It allows you to discuss if you wish to. And then closing it after reading the title by title only. We can read that. Ordinance 2024-1, ordinance amending the Morrow County comprehensive plan map and zoning map from space age industrial to exclusive farm use on 318 acre parcel, including that in the packet. So that'll be the official opening of the public meeting for that.
Okay. Okay, Valerie, did you have that? Did you get that motion down or? It's just basically the second reading of with the title of the.
Yeah, approving the comprehensive, yeah, I've got it right here.
Okay. So, do I hear someone propose that? Joe, Roy?
Yeah, I'll propose a motion to, what's that? The ordinance amending the Morrow County comprehensive plan map and zoning map from space age industrial to exclusive farm use on the 318 acre parcel. Ordinance 2024-0.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, moved to second, any further discussion?
Just be clear, that aspect of the motion, public hearing was open, we read the title. I believe we have the title, just be clear, public hearing will be closed also. And then that motion made. Correct. Or that, yeah,
Okay.
is it the public aspect of the making of the motion? That's the process. I mean, overall, I agree, but that's the, I think the process steps, unless there's a disagreement from someone else, just want to make sure. It's an odd thing, as Timer said, that is why we do a public hearing. but that is the process.
Okay, so we'll close the, do you want to who made the motion? You? Okay, you want to withdraw that motion?
Sure.
Okay.
That's a question, but we don't have to read it. I thought we had to read it as the board.
Well, I mean, as the board, well, yeah, I think the idea was the motion was to approve it. So I guess the idea was like opening the public meeting. My thought the motion is yes, we'll be opening the public meeting for the ordinance 2024-01. Then reading the title of it on the ordinance there, referencing the fact that is the ACM ABC 149-24 and AZM 1-24, which is it's in the packet there, the first part, the staff report that opens the public hearing. Then a discussion, close it, then a motion.
So he did it right, we just didn't close the public hearing.
Correct. Okay.
So that's why I have to withdraw.
I think we did read it as part of that. It was open. I read it into it. I think that's the key. You already have that title information ready.
Okay.
Once you close it, then a motion.
Okay, so I'm gonna close the public hearing. And then now I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance ORD-2024-01, ordinance amending the Morrow County Comprehensive Plan map and zoning map from space safe industrial to exclusive farms on a 318 acre parcel.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and second, and further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, now we'll open a public hearing for the second reading of ordinance over Bill 4-2-02. Okay. You know,
Yeah, sure. Yes.
once again, there'll be the same rules as the last point. We already took public hearing.
That's my understanding from Line Director, information was ordinance number 2024-02, ordinance amending Morrow County Comprehensive Plan map from residential to commercial and amending the zoning map from suburban residential 2, which is SR-2 to general commercial, referencing ACM-151 that 24 zone. That ACM-151 24. So the packet includes most of that material already. That would be the title. Is that correct, Dan? Or is there anything else I need to add on that aspect?
I think that's all.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll close the public hearing and then I'll entertain a motion on this.
The only thing I would note, I think there was one hand raised. We don't normally always do that. I don't know.
No, the public testimony is over.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, the public testimony is over. We took that last time. This, if we did it for one person, it's done. Okay, so entertain a motion.
And move that we accept ordinance 2024-02 and ordinance amending the Morrow County Comprehensive Plan map from residential to commercial and amending the zoning map from suburban residential to SR2 to general.
Now here a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Okay, that's it then, right, Tamara?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next up would be business item 6A, Angle Service Area Plan Update, Matthew Johnson.
Like to just provide the Board of Commissioners an update about several items with the ambulance service plan as we get going. Provided a report in the period that I will touch on points and address a few of the questions that are going through. First of all, Chair Sykes and I attended the Morrow County Health District board meeting. We did offer a possible framework for a negotiated contract that would allow designation of initial providers for the ASA. We did receive the notes from OHA on February 22nd. Late on that day, we reviewed it over the weekend, provided those out. They're attached to this document. We've been going through changes. Several of those are just definitions and a couple process items, and some inclusions for mass casualty incident. They now want that plan included in with the ASA, and we're working with the emergency manager to deal with that. Our anticipation is that it will be resubmitted today. Most of these don't change the performance standards or levels there. It does change, it outlines a little bit on the application. And so we'll have those beefed up a little bit, and those will be resubmitted. OHA is expecting that, and once they get approval, they'll let us know and get us back. We were positioned, if the health district was to agree to that framework, to kind of punch through and do a sprint that get things taken care of, so we could try to make it before March 12th. But since they've refused our offer, then we've just decided we'll just keep going on the process and work through it. With that, the interim services contract kicks in. Now the question is how can we negotiate an interim service contract if we don't have an ASA? The reason why we have to negotiate an interim service contract is we don't have the ASA. It is interim. It is not a long-time service, and that's why we are looking to set that up in order to successfully get the ASA adopted and move forward. One of the feedbacks that we did have on the ASA, just to let you know, is we asked why they're requiring all these additional items. And quite frankly, it's because of Morrow County. They are stiffening their reviews and their requirements because of the situation we're in. And that's so this will likely impact all ASAs going forward, making sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And so that's one thing that we're going for. Leased ambulances contract. A lot of questions about that. These are used ambulances. They are for an 80-term basis. They're not set up for long term. We have secured 3 ambulances as listed on the report. We are finalizing the contract today. We've had a commitment, but we're finalizing the contract today. It's $500 per ambulance per month, and that's the cost of it. So we're looking at $1,500 a month for these ambulances. There is some equipment that we have to put in, but more or less they are stocked as ALS systems, and we're upstaging them to BLS, and we're upstaging them to ALS to make sure it's taken care of. Oregon Fire will be coordinating that. It's not a major lift, and we appreciate them. They will be picking those up tomorrow. So one thing that we do have to do as a county is we have to do an agreement to license the ambulances as part of the providers. I've included a document in the packet there, and are asking you to consider that. It's pretty much boilerplate, just licensing, saying that we are taking action to license these city and accept those. One thing, just to let you know, $500 per month for used equipment falls well under my prerogative as county administrator, and especially where it's used in short term, does not require us to go through a bid process. And so that's one reason why we're doing it that way. Anything for long-term ambulances, we'll be considering and discussing that with the Board of Commissions as and if we need to make those kind of considerations. As I mentioned on that, the ASA plan, we do have that. We're submitting it to hopefully today. We're literally just waiting for confirmation and coordination with our emergency manager to get the MCI taken care of. And we've been in talks with OHA over the past week and over the weekend. Bob Blackmore has been coordinating that. And he is online if you have any questions. I can unmute him and get him here. Again, we did transition Boardman to allow setup. We are considering what the health district has provided as a backup in their memo. They say it's not for the first or second or third call out. We appreciate that, but also understand that there are limitations and requirements to have a responding ambulance service. And generally that needs to be a contract with the county. And we don't have that, but that is something we'll be looking for. To consider as we look on that, but right now, we have been closely working. I've been touching with Boardman Fire on a daily, not multiple times a day basis. And we're gonna have full-time staff in the 3 areas that is committed. We'll have 2 ambulances in each of those locations, Irrigon, Heppner, and Boardman. And we will be able to respond. Now, we'll be light on the EMTs and the paramedics that equipped QRTs. And we're hoping that this interim service resolves fairly quickly so that we can consider long-time contracts, long-term contracts, and move past this as we fix the ASP and get that reestablished. Again, in my mind, this has been a plan issue that has been made into a provider issue. And we're in this interim services not because of the county's choice. And, but we're working through it. And we appreciate the support from Boardman Fire. And they admit their weaknesses, have staffed up additionally. Sorry if all the staff pictures on their website aren't updated with the new people that they've caught them up. And part of these are being staffed for the interim and with consideration for long-term if needed. And so we're working in that direction. I do want to check and just make sure as I'm looking on here, Bob's on, he is. I'm going to unmute him. Bob, just in case you want to add anything.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Yeah, this is Bob Blackmore. And just a second here. Start my video. I guess what I'd add is that we're working very closely with the Oregon Health Authority to get this done as quickly as we possibly can. We've already made 99% of the changes. We're trying to clarify the mass casualty issue because the mass casualty issue was not clear to them. It was the same plan that was in the health district plan in 21, but at this point in time, the OHA is requesting more information. And it was also not coordinated to the operations plan or the Morrow County fatality management plan. So we have those 2 other plans, and we're trying to clarify what the MCI is. We do have information at this point that OHA wants us to attach it. That's additional 20 to 30 pages of plan documents rather than just reference it. And they also want us to put in links to it and so on, so everybody can follow through with it. So that's the issue that we're trying to resolve today to get that done. And then, like I say, most of the other changes have been made. It's just a matter of resubmitting it. I had a long conversation with the Oregon Health Association with regard to the health district's QRT proposal, the quick response teams. And they indicated that, well, if they are responding as paramedics or EMTs, they still need to have the same protections that you normally have, and that you have a supervising physician that oversees their work and that they comply with all the state laws and administrative rules with regard to those positions. I sent a question with regard to responding with EMTs to Troy Bundy, who's the attorney for the health district, because in reading some of the administrative rules, it appeared that EMTs could not respond unless they were responding with an ambulance. I never did hear back from Troy Bundy. The Oregon Health Authority said that they thought they could respond without an ambulance. And at this point in time, that's the position they're taking, which is good for allowing them to respond. So although I haven't heard from Mr. Bundy, certainly the OHA agreed with that. OHA is concerned about the DPSST standards and compliance in those areas. OHA is following up on that issue with those people, and I hope to hear back from them today. There's also the concern with regard to 911 dispatching and whether or not they can be dispatched. As you know, there's state laws with regard to 911 dispatching. I have questions into them to see what we can do to, facilitate that, to see if that's allowed, or what the county can do to help make it be allowed. At this point in time, I have not heard back from the state on that particular issue. So, from where I'm sitting, like I say, I'm hoping to file it today. I may not get these answers back in clarity on a few of these things, but I have spent tremendous amount of time with the OHA and talking to them about what they would like to see on a few issues. And we just need to get those issues cleaned up, and then I'll send them a red line. If it's not today, it'll be shortly thereafter. Certainly by next week, it will be submitted. The question with regard to the provision of interim services, the county is responsible legally for ensuring that ambulance service is provided. With the health district withdrawing and not allowing its ambulances to be used, rather than sue the health district to get the ambulances because they're technically violating the 98 plan, also their own plan that they developed in 21. It was easier to get assistance from AMR, and they provided the ambulances, and very grateful to them for doing that. They got involved, got their national people involved to make sure we got some ambulances in a timely fashion. So, providing that interim coverage is required by the county. The county is doing it. And I'm not saying there won't be a hiccup here or there, but Boardman Fire stepped up to do that. And given that the health district has withdrawn and will not provide any assistance in that fashion. And from my perspective, it's helpful that we've got this much done, because it'll give us enough time to get that ASA plan approved and to move forward with these selection process and allow the Board of Commissioners to act accordingly. So I could add more, but I think I've covered the main points. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Blackmore, Joe?
No, I don't. I appreciate his weighing in on the issues today.
Do you have the question?
No. So just to answer a couple questions that was brought up in the open session, specifically Sarah Burks. In district versus out of district, that's a question that I brought up with Boardman Fire previously, and they have reaffirmed recently. In district, while they have the interim service, is the entire county, everything they provide. The out of district is any transfers that they're doing for in Umatilla County or outside of the interim contract. So they consider it inside the district as long as we have the interim contract with them. The discussions on additional employees and the 3 additional ambulances that would have to be purchased were in reference if they were chosen as a provider for the entire county. And so depending on how long this goes, we do need to have discussions on how the disposition of those 3 ambulances work. If that's going to be something we have providers purchase, or if the county does take care of the equipment in order to defer cost, and then contract with people to provide the staffing. There's a couple of different models we can do. And so that's something that I need to finalize and discuss on. Then the event standby, that's one thing we, for St. Patty's Day celebration down here, we will have 2 ambulances staffed during the events, with one specifically located at Rodeo during that event on Saturday. So those are things that we have reviewed with Boardman Fire, and they are staffing accordingly. So just to let the Board of Commissioners know that we are looking at those different ideas and realize the impacts on our system and the protection levels that we need to provide for the residents and businesses of the North.
Okay. Does that conclude your report?
Yes, and the only other action is just consideration on that licensing agreement and a motion to allow me to sign that if accepted.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I'll propose a motion to approve the ambulance license agreement between Morrow County and AMR to authorize the county administrator to sign documents on behalf of.
There a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you, board.
Yeah, before we move on, Jeff, got any questions about it?
No, I
Move
don't.
on. Okay, right, you good? Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to 6B, Circuit Courthouse update. Next man, please.
Okay. And thank you, Bob. I'll let you go if you haven't let go already.
Thank you.
We do have, Doug. Doug, I'm unmuting and letting you start your camera if you'd like. Doug is one of our two project managers that's here, and so I'll just give a short report and then he's available for any questions as we go forward. We'll cut to the big thing. On Friday, we received the correspondence from Judge Hill and the Chief Justice of the state saying that according to their interpretation, the circuit courthouse does not have to be in Heppner. This was a surprise because I have a design meeting on Thursday, tomorrow, where we were going to start kicking off and looking at ideas. My understanding, this was not an effort from the Board of Commissioners, even though as we attended a listening session, that was held there, there was discussion and requests for us to do so. This came unsolicited by the county, but other residents and parties were involved, and the Judge Hill engaged with the Chief Justice and gave that. So their interpretation is that it doesn't have to be in Heppner, that it can be anywhere in the county, but there should be an ability to hold hearings in Heppner. So it doesn't, the court night doesn't need to be here, but they should be able to have a presence if necessary. Now hearings, that's a big interpretive question. It could be a hearing, could be in this room. But
their court software is stuff they want.
yeah, and so, but they're in the mind, it doesn't need to be in Heppner. Now, that changes things. We looked at 9 sites, even more so here in Heppner before I came on board, and we figured that the location was the fair. We did finally receive notice that the farmer adjacent, located with Phil's adjacent fairgrounds, was not interested in allowing us to have parking there, to do a lease. It's his choice. Respect that, farming heritage, and so we need to look at different options. We had a listening session with the rodeo group, great discussion, and they that was last week, and they with the listening session with interested residents and neighbors, and they asked for us to push for a location other than the fairgrounds, and there's many discussions of putting it up at the mill site. That would be a discussion with the Port of Morrow. I've heard inklings that some of that's been done and well received, but we have not finalized anything, and we haven't really entered into formal discussions with the Port of Morrow to do so. That adds different considerations. It does put it in a nice location that the residents aren't impacted by it, but it's 2.5 months out of city and away from crucial infrastructure, including water and sewer. So that changes things. However, it could be a nice place to hopefully invigorate some development there. But this does, since I was hired 6 months ago, I've stood on the soapbox saying the ORS says it has to be in Heppner. And now, since last Friday, that soapbox is no longer there. And so I'm open to consideration. I think there is community, cultural, and political implications of not having it near Heppner at least. And I think that we should share some of that heritage and history and consider still having it close to the county seat. And so as we look at this, without the leasing of the area by the fair, that impacts our use of that space for the circuit court. And where we do have some options to go outside of Heppner, I'm looking for direction from the Board of Commissioners. We're in an interesting window. We haven't invested too much. We've secured an architect, yes. But that's all about designing a building, and that hasn't got full-fledged yet. In the next month and a half it would have, but now it wouldn't. And we have about a month or two window where we can pivot and consider other locations before we move in and finalize. If we do a study, there will be some costs associated with it. But it would be minor compared to if we made a change 4 or 5 months down the road when the design was really started kicking in. One thing, just want to let you know, I did meet with the Rodeo and Fair boards, representatives from the Rodeo and Fair this Monday. Had an excellent discussion with them. And they are, even if the court stayed at the fairgrounds, then it would be, they're willing to work around it. They need us to do some things and do some improvements and changes, which would cost money. But they would be open to trying to facilitate it to keep that fair there or fair and rodeo there, which I'm in full support of. But not having that parking in the farmer's field, it hurts. So with that, open up questions, and Doug's on the call if you have any questions that he can answer for you.
How many acres of the north side are out of the flood plain zone, you know?
In preliminary discussions, we would be looking on the areas on the other side of the road, up by like the ag extension building. So that would be fully outside of the floodplain. I think I wouldn't want to put the court down in the industrial area. I'd want to keep it on the other side. Okay. And like I said, very preliminary. We haven't taken that. I've heard there's openness, but we'd have to have some discussions with them. And I'd be happy to go with the commissioner and start those discussions if necessary.
Jeff, any questions?
Nothing at this time.
Do you have any questions for Matt on how to proceed?
Well, we could have him talk to the port and see if it really is an option out there. And then, you know, as he brought up, water and sewer, what would it cost to develop out there to get those services? And
since we haven't really considered this previously, I also need to touch base with our planning director. I haven't thrown this on her desk yet, and just to see, since we would be outside of the city, how does that impact zoning and use of the governmental benefit to, if we, you know, there's other areas immediately outside of Heppner, but we get out of that urban growth boundary very quickly. And so I don't know how that, even though we have more control of the zoning, then we hit farming areas, which creates a whole new set of hoops to jump through.
Now, does the architect need to do a preliminary study on that site to answer some of these questions that were raised here? Water, sewer, I mean, can they answer those?
The architect's not going to be able to answer the water sewer at this point. We need to pull in some engineering aspects of that. That's where I need to talk to the port. If it was to look at the mill site, how are they providing water and sewer currently? And I think it's all existing systems or whatnot, and how we proceed with that. We'd have to pull in engineers if we go to an undeveloped site that doesn't have anything. But going outside and not being able to connect to a city infrastructure would likely require us to develop some kind of septic build and a well, which for a public building would require some kind of monitoring and hopefully not treatment, but at least monitoring and testing. All O&M costs, they can be overcome. It's just looking at the realities of things.
Okay, I'm just thinking along the lines of how solid of a yes or a no can we get, and when can we get that?
From who?
From whoever needs to tell us if we can move forward on the mill site.
Um,
That would be, you know, you say engineers and there's architects, I mean, is, you know, that's my thought is,
I think Ken's on the same.
The only thing I would mention too, just to update a little bit, is that the Chief Justice did send that, was more explanation from Judge Hill, but sent it out, and she referenced the statute, ORS 1.805 or close to it. The only thing I would mention, I did send an email and a letter to the Chief Justice today, just asking if she took into account that, just to verify, there won't be an issue later on, that she took into account the statute, the 3.016. Because the statute she references, the very first line says, not excluding any other statute or law, these provisions apply. So I want to make sure, she never references the statute we talk about, the 3.016, it talks about the 6th Judicial District. Just the only reason I bring it up was the idea of saying, hey, getting it more in writing, saying, yep, we take that into account, we can put this courthouse anywhere. Because two issues are, one, it's half state funding. So I don't want to hear something else coming back all of a sudden saying, oh, no, we didn't take that into account, sorry, it has to be moved back into settlements, or we have to change the statute. Or two, with my prosecution hat on, this attorney, just verifying I don't have a defendant saying, nope, this courthouse where this jurisdiction came was not in a valid location. The statute says it had to be here, so their verdict was invalid because it was on a proper spot. If I can get more verification from the Chief Justice, or just saying, nope, we take into account this supersedes that 3.016, that's fine. I mean, we can still keep going, looking into the other things, of course. This opens it up more preliminarily. I'm just hoping to get one more verification from the Chief Justice to say, yes, I take that into account. This thing, okay, well, when it gets me more in writing, right now it doesn't reference that at all. And so I'm just concerned that, I know she's probably aware of it, but it's a very unique statute just for the 6th Judicial District. It is not part of a normal one. If you look at it, it's a very one by itself, different section talking about it. So as long as he takes that into account, that's what they want to bring up, and we're still working on some.
when will you have that answer?
Who knows if she'll even answer?
What's that?
Who knows if she'll even answer my message? So that's the only thing I'm hoping she will, and I can reach back out to Judge Hill. I know he is not, he's out right now for the next 4 weeks, my understanding, so I may bring that up also still, I don't hear back.
And I guess what I'm driving at is, what's our deadline to pick a new site and start moving, you know,
The challenge.
doing whatever we need to do.
Yeah. The challenge on that, well, I'm hoping to sit down with my design team tomorrow and say, if we have to go through a site, how much, they're gonna step back and say, we need a little bit extra money, this is not part of the contract, to reduce site review, and we can have that frank conversation with them tomorrow and to see what that does. I think we've only got about a month or two window to make a decision. If we aren't going to ask for an extension because we have to have these monies spent by the end of 2026. And this is a 2-year process on this project. And so, likely we would need to go and address some of those, things very quickly. And I would likely have an opportunity to discuss with you at the 20th or at a special meeting before then about some timing and confirmation from the Chief Justice if she requires.
I would think with all these, different, parts to this that would probably warrant a special meeting. I would think if we find out that that particular site is a no-go.
If the mill site is not good.
Yeah.
Mill site's gonna be difficult because I think we'll have some saying, well, from the Chief Justice and legal side, we can definitely get a no-go.
Yeah.
For.
And like I said, the only reason I'm saying that is because you mentioned a timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just trying to make sure that we try to stay within the timeline, considering we're now looking at another site.
Yeah, and so I can get those answers fairly quick. I'm hoping to at least ask those questions and get an idea of return tomorrow during our things. I've already let our project manager and the architect lead know about this situation. And so it will be a topic for tomorrow.
Okay, anything else, Jeff?
Nothing else.
No, I'm gonna just say that we gotta act as soon as we can, but if we gotta go with an alternate site, then we should make it as good a site as we can here.
And we'll do a quick look right around Heppner city limits. It just, we're in a valley. And we're either in the floodplain or on a hill right now. Everywhere else has been really developed out or something like that. I mean, I still love that little park right down by the Ag Museum. It'd be a pretty little place, but I know it's in the floodplain. And we lose a stretch of nice grass. If we've just got particular structures, it's structural issues with being in Heppner, and that's why the fairgrounds was the determined site. So life doesn't get easier. We'll pivot and we'll do what we need to do.
Okay, so.
Yes, and if I could just make a request, since I have Doug online, just if we could look at that bid process and bump that up to the first item for business items, if that's okay. So we move F up to A.
Yeah, so okay with
Yep.
Okay, so that includes 6B, and we'll move to 7F under business item. And that's you.
Yes, and actually, I'll have Doug jump in a little bit. Let me just preface this. This is not looking to exempt the building of a $20 million project from competitive consideration. There are different ways to design and build a building. One of them, which is the most typical way, is design, bid, build. That's how you do houses. That's what you do things. You get a design, you put it out for bid, low bid comes in. When we're looking at a big municipal capital project, there are some other options, and one of them is the construction management general contractor approach. Which what happens is we have the parameters, the design parameters of what we want to do in a building, and then we put out a request for proposals, which then qualified construction management general contractors come in and say, we can build this project for X amount, and we think we can do that. Here's our fee for it. And if we get near that point or have to exceed it, we'll come back and we'll work with you. And this is a different way of getting that contractor in line with the architect while you're designing the project to try to value engineer. The hardest thing for a big project is when you design it and you bid it, and then you're 50% over cost, and then you've got to value engineer it, and you lose months as you try to get that back down, or you go back to the elected officials to get more money. This way we say, here's our budget, here's what our things are. Sorry, Judge, you can't have the zebra teak desk. You're gonna have to just get a nice mahogany desk kind of thing. And we talk about cost there. And I shouldn't throw that out because Judge Hill's very reasonable on those kind of things. But we just look at it and say, you know, here's the standards, what we have to do. And it also reins in the architect. Because I love architects. My daughter's father-in-law is one, but sometimes they can get dreamy and look to create these cool edifices when we need to keep costs down. And so CMGC process does that. And so in the state of Oregon, we have to file and provide notice that we're doing CMGC in order to allow people to know it, and so that they aren't concerned about the violation of a or the lack of a low bid kind of approach on things. Doug? I hope I didn't steal all your thunder, and Earl. I'll unmute Earl as well. But what do you have to add on it? And if you want to answer any questions about the pivot action that we're gonna have to be looking at.
Well, first of all, I'd say that.
Hey, Doug, can I add one thing
Yeah.
to kind of circle back real short before you start talking about the pivot? Now, I know there's a buildable land study out there. There's other sites that mentioned, is this, are you, Matt, I should say, are you feel that we have told you to look at just that site or other sites also, and maybe do some prelim on those to keep this ball rolling, or are you going down that one? And are they too, when they give us a report, say right now, or are they just giving a general pivot to another site?
I want to do a very quick review of buildable sites. The mill site's nice because there's talk that it can be donated. So it almost comes back to the fair thing where it's free. We have to do infrastructure, but it doesn't have residents right by it. So that's a lot of good pluses, but I would like to do a very quick precursory look at all the sites. I did reach out to our planning director. She says that report is on their site. I haven't had a chance to look at it since last night when I heard that. But I'd like to pull Doug and Earl and just look at some of those options and just see where we're at. So I'm not just saying we'll look at the mill site. I think that's a pretty good option if we were to keep it within the Heppner area, which I think there's value in doing so.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Doug, sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to kind of clarify where we're going.
No. Yeah, no, good morning, everybody. Matt did a very nice job explaining CMGC. I would add to that it's an accepted state of Oregon practice that is used frequently all over the state, almost preferred by a lot of public owners. In fact, both Earl and I are working with the Umatilla School District currently and the Umatilla Health District on projects that are using CMGC quite successfully. The other thing I would add is that the general contractor is picked through a process that's open, transparent, etc. But all of the subcontractors are going to submit bids through a normal bid process to the general contractor. So lots of contractors in your area are going to get chances to bid on the work that's going to go on. So there's still a lot of bidding included in this process.
Okay. Jeff, Roy, do you have any questions with Doug? Did you have anything else you want to add, Doug? I just asked a question. Roy, you got something you want to throw in? Jeff, you want to ask Doug any questions?
No, I don't.
Okay.
If I could just ask, Doug and Earl, while we're putting this before the commission to authorize us to do a CMGC, with the idea that we're going to pivot possibly on a location, I would imagine that we would not be posting this out until we get more of a final site location, because that changes what they would consider. Is that correct in assuming that, Doug and Earl?
Well, I would guess if we're going to pivot that means a delay, if you will. So there's no reason to proceed on the timelines we've set forth. We could certainly delay that also.
Ask for your approval of it, so we can proceed when we're ready to, but
Correct.
We wouldn't expect it posted in the next week like originally planned.
Okay, I guess I can roll us right into a motion to approve the resolution R-2024-5. So do I hear that motion? Authorizing exemption from competitive bid process and authorizing a request for proposal for construction managers / general contractor.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve resolution R-2024-5, authorizing an exemption from the competitive bid process and instead using a qualification-based RFP.
Get a second. Move in second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Okay, now,
Thank you.
all right. Okay,
Thank you, Doug and Earl.
Appreciate it.
okay, that brings us back up to 7A, and that is a request for funding, Heppner Daycare, Katie Murray and Jessica Brett. Oh, there they are.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
I am Katie Murray. I'm a board member for the Heppner Daycare, and with me is Jessica Britt, our executive director. We're here requesting ARPA funds for our expansion project. Jessica's going to give a little overview of what the daycare does now, and then we'll go into some details around what we're looking for.
So the Heppner Daycare, currently we're family-based or family-focused certified child care center. During the school year, we offer preschool services along with full-day services and after-school childcare. We currently are serving children 3 to 8 years old. So our preschool is focused on 3 to 5 year olds. We have 18 currently, and 11 of those children stay for full-day childcare. And then we have 12 after-school children, so ages 5 to 8. And then during the summer, we offer full-day childcare services that for 3 to 8 year olds, for families that need to use that, along with some summer camps that with our preschool and our summer camps, we focus on the social, emotional, and academic development of children to get them ready for school.
Thank you. So currently, as she noted, we don't have any infant or toddler childcare centers in South Morrow County. And we also have very limited slots for preschool age as well as for after school children, so that elementary school age as well. And like most centers, we rely on public investment to help our services, making sure we have an affordable price to our parents and also provide a livable wage to our staff. So today we're here asking for $750,000 or half or 50% of our fundraising goal of 1.5 million to expand our facility. Our current location does not and will not meet the needs of our community. We have done an extensive community survey that has overwhelmingly shown that we need more services. And also the data just on a state level shows that we need it. This is not an uncommon issue. It's in every county here in the state. And it's also becoming more commonplace for county government to step in and help support these projects. So that's where we're here today for this ask. We're hoping to expand our capacity of 3 to 8 year olds to up to 40 children. And then an infant and toddler center with a capacity of 28 children. We have also already secured $425,000 from other local entities. So we're already moving along in that fundraising piece. And we also will be doing extensive grant writing in the next year to fill the full scope of our project. That is the end of my spiel. Any questions about that?
Do you have a site located for the expansion?
We don't at this time. We're hoping to work with local entities, the city included, to see if there's something that will work for us. Like many projects at Heppner, we have limitations. So we're looking to hopefully find something in the next year that will work well for what we need. So.
Would it be a separate site and you would keep the site you currently have, or would you try to sell the site you have and use that to go forward?
Yeah, we would sell the site and put that towards project costs. Yeah, yeah. And the facility size would probably at least double. So we don't have that where we're located on Gale Street right now.
Okay, I don't really have a question. I just have a comment. I looked over everything you've done and I'm impressed with the work you put in on your study, your survey. I mean, to me, it shows you're serious, you have a plan, you know where you're going, and, I just want to say that to me is, I think pretty impressive. I think it's indicative of the way they're gonna move forward also, you know. They know what they're doing and they've got it planned out, so. I think, and I just gonna check with Kevin as the funds are available for.
Yeah, funds are, and this is certainly allowed use of any of those funds.
Yeah.
Because it would be a construction project and over time, I would perhaps recommend a different approach than rather just an upfront lump sum and just from a risk aversion, honestly, and being good steward of the funds. And so the details of that, we would need to work out with the daycare.
And I would make a comment that just the fact that you guys did a plan and brought us a plan before, just asking for money was very helpful, and I think very, very good process. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Jeff, you got any questions of him?
Well, my question would be for Matt or Kevin really is that, so what I'm hearing is that the construction may not be done before the time that I thought that the ARPA money had to be spent. And so is it spent or is it allocated from the county standpoint? Does it have to be done by a certain time? And then if, I'm in support of the daycare facility, but they're looking for other grant money. And if they don't come up with the other money, what happens to the 750 they got from the county?
So I'll mention the ARPA thing, and maybe Kevin's got that's kind of his approach on the distribution. The ARPA money, we have to have, the initial one was you had to have it committed by the end of 2024, calendar year 2024, and spent by the end of 2026. So I think their business plan supports that if they can get some additional funding and secure the site. And so as long as we have the action by the commission and clean up the distribution kind of model, that commitment will satisfy. There is a way to extend that, but you've got to jump through a bunch of funny little hoops. So we would just say, daycare, get it done. If we're going to do, and if we had to change, I defer to Kevin if that money becomes losable or returnable to federal, or if we could reassign. And I'm not sure if there's a real answer on that at this point.
I think that we can be creative if necessary in coming up with a distribution arrangement that would accommodate the timeline constraints on the use of funds. But one other thing I would like to explore, when we say committed by, that's typically what one would consider an earmark that's created with formal action by the Board of Commissioners. I would maybe argue that an actual grant award, I'm not sure. I think that surpasses commitment at that point, and they may consider that expended.
Okay,
but just because we haven't distributed it, so I need to look into that to verify. But that's certainly beyond what's typically considered a commitment of funds.
Okay, Jeff, does that kind of answer your question there?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Katie, okay. I'll entertain a motion to make this grant award. Or I don't call it a grant, I'm not sure to call it that. The request for funds. To have yet to decide whether it's going to work or not. I hear a motion to grant this request for funding.
I mean, just want to make sure with what he's got to.
I think there's some consideration right now about how it should be.
Yeah, let's do the motion right now.
I think we could say we have a motion to commit $750,000 to the daycare for the funding of this project. with distribution to be worked out through a grant or a grant award letter.
And direct staff to work with the applicant. Yeah.
If that would go, so approve the commitment of $750,000 to the project and direct staff to secure agreements for BOC sign off in the future.
So
Second.
Do you want a second? Moved and second, any further discussion? All in favor?
I,
Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
One word, let Kevin and I get catch our breath by next week with the consultancy
Yeah.
coming in, but reach out to us and we can start working.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to point out the costs of the daycare charge. You can say, hey, why don't you up those up? But that just shows, I think, a commitment to servicing the community, which I think really leads to good. So they do a great job.
Okay, we got one more business item, then we call it break. So this one is, I think about it, 7E, the resolution in support of the boundary expansion of the Columbia River Enterprise Zone. My name's on there is because our administrator, Greg Sweet, has moved on and is no longer, and then he said, well, I got all my records in your office, Dave. You could very easily put my laptop in there. So, and I've been kind of involved with Chris since its beginning, 2 and 3. So I said, yeah, why not? So this is the last, well, not last. The way it's set up in Chris 3 is, any decisions made about the structure of Chris 3. There's an IGA, there's 2 IGAs, there's one between the port and the county. And then there's another one, between the county, the port, and the city of Boardman. Any kind of structure to how the enterprise zone is done, including like a boundary expansion here, the bones of the operation, is a decision between the port and the county. Once they get going, which they already have, and they start, talking to businesses about contracts and then awarding the funds that come in. If the business is located within what they call the zone of influence, then that would include the 3 entities, and they would make those decisions. So that's kind of the reason the agreement here just has the county and the port. So and then once we sign it, the port's already done it, then I have all the stuff, and tomorrow I'll send this off. It has to be approved by Business Oregon. So we'll send this off to Business Oregon and get that going. So, and the expansion is for a hotel. Hotel, right?
Yeah, for the potential.
Yeah, potential, yeah. So, any questions? Excuse me, any questions? Don't make it too tough, Jeff.
What was that, Dave?
I said, you got any questions?
No, I don't.
The temporary administrator.
So I just want to clarify that this is 31.4 acres of 2,250 available acres. Pretty small expansion to be.
Yeah, that's how many acres are left. It could be included in an enterprise zone for Chris.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution R-2024-4.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Before we got to catch off, but I just noticed a minor grammatical mistake at the bottom of the resolution. So is now therefore be it resolved, and it mentions Columbia River Enterprise Zone 2, that should be 3. I just noticed that.
So mine,
Page of the PDF.
so mine doesn't show anything, just says a Columbia Enterprise Zone. Was it at the bottom, you said?
Yeah, it's at the bottom.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, at the bottom of the resolution, now therefore be it resolved. It mentions CREZ 2, and it should say CREZ. Second, almost like the second paragraph from page.
Oh, I just, I just. So I'll make that motion with the dramatic.
With the amendment to change that.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution R-2024-4, expand the current CREZ boundary by 3.14 acres and with the amendment of whereas to CREZ 2 to CREZ 3.
Is it 3.14 or 3.1?
31.4, sorry, right, 31.4. Do I read it again?
No, I think it's okay, actually. I just want to clarify, it didn't make you much that difference, just with public support.
Real quick, like, I wanna make sure. One of the original ones we had report Boardman and the county, and Valerie was going to delete that. I wanna make sure we've got the correct one in there. City Boardman is not in this resolution, it's support. Huh?
Correct.
That's the one that everybody's looking at. Yeah, I knew you were gonna do it. And mine was, I just wanna make sure everybody knows that. So sometimes when a original document is floating around out there, sometimes it doesn't get chilled off, so.
So I'll second Junior's motion.
Okay, the move to second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carried. Okay, thank you. Now we'll call you back here. Call the meeting back to order, and we'll start off with our department reports. Jessica, you have a lipstick report for us?
She should be on Zoom. He said he would be.
Jessica, could you raise your hand so we can see where you are? You're there? I'm not seeing one. Maybe we proceed to the next and just revisit it to see if up on.
So, you're not sure if she's on, or,
It doesn't look like.
okay, now let's move that down, or see if it shows that. So next we'll go with, public works monthly report, that's Eric.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
I brought Tony Clement, our facilities maintenance manager, due to some content that we've worked on about facilities. So we'll just start there. As I said, Tony and I, we met during the month of February with board members of the Family and Agriculture Resource Museum Foundation. This is in regards to the lease and agreement to operate. I believe Kevin found this somewhere. It was really nice. This has been a discussion on maintenance operations in regards to the museum and ag center for years. And so here it was located, and I added it into your packet if there's any questions. The highlights of the agreement for purposes of facility maintenance state that the county shall pay utilities and provide janitorial services for the museum. The county shall provide all maintenance and repairs, and the foundation shall be responsible for inspections and reporting back to the facilities maintenance supervisor, Tony. And the county will keep properties and contents insured, and the foundation shall maintain liability insurance for operations. It was a good meeting for all of us in there, and provided clarity for us. I did notice there was no ending date to the lease and operating agreement. If you have any questions about that, I brought Tony to answer anything you might have for him.
Does that concern you? No ending date?
A little.
A little.
I thought that maybe there should be.
Maybe very good.
There is, I believe maybe Tony can help me. I thought I did see an option to terminate, which I think would only be an opportunity to renegotiate to add an ending date, but how important is it?
Which one? Researching something else.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. Hopefully it was the lease agreement to operate for the Ag Museum, and the museum next to the library, that, and just, it was found, it was signed back in 01, right? Yeah, 2001. And I just noticed that there wasn't an ending date. Okay.
I would say we could probably have one. You know, it could be, they were only set for 5 years, we're automatically renew if either party doesn't provide notice that, hey, we want this to end. But I'd have to look into it. I don't even know if you can have a valid lease without an end date, so.
Well, I might add, if there's something else that you think needs to be updated or something, maybe we could do that all at one time, you know? Can you clarify what I'm talking about, the ownership of the actual stuff in the museum? I know that wasn't your major.
It is in here. It's in the agreement.
Yeah, I know.
Talks about the content.
Do we own the stuff after we took over? Is that what the way I read that, or we own it all?
The way I read it is that they still own it until any issues occur. If the lease becomes null and void, then we take over ownership.
Okay. And not that I want one way or the other.
Sure.
I just was kind of wondering how that worked, you know? So that's better that way, I think. We don't really want to own, do we?
But what's starting this though is that there's roof issues.
Yeah.
We really either we're gonna put a slope roof on it or I'm hoping that someone with more knowledge than me, and we can do a study on it, or I don't know, even a whole study, but it's leaked 3 or 4 times. It builds an ice dam. The roof itself is good, but it builds an ice dam because there's only 2 outlets for all the water up there, and then it builds an ice dam there and then backs up through the wall, and it's a tough one to remedy.
Well, this agreement is something that we can work on with county council and absolutely, and the foundation board.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When I approached Kevin, he found, I asked him about a lease, if we ever had anything, and he said the previous commissioner had came in and dropped off a packet, and there was another lease agreement that was done in 2006, but it wasn't signed that he had. So I don't know if he researched it anymore, if he was able to find a signed copy of that, if that's makes this one null and void, but he couldn't, the 15 minutes I was with him, what the research he did, he couldn't find one that was signed. So we're still assuming that this one is the one that's valid, yes.
And commissioners, there's another agreement for funding of the museums that has been in effect since the mid-90s, and I don't have a copy of that right now, which designates like $11,000 coming from the video poker lottery funds that are there. That's never been adjusted, and so that's the only public funds they receive. No other tax funds are brought. They take great pride in running it without a lot of tax money, but it might, if you haven't been down to the museum, it's an institution. It's pretty cool. And so as we review this lease, I would hope that we could just take a look at that and consider if there might need to be some adjustments on that agreement.
Refresh my mind here, what kind of organization are they? They're a nonprofit.
I have not checked in on that. I'm assuming they're nonprofit.
It says in the first paragraph of the lease and agreement to operate that their foundation, an Oregon nonprofit corporation.
Yeah.
And Justin, oh, I'm sorry.
You're on the next one.
Okay.
So much.
My thought was this, there's several different kind of nonprofits, isn't there? In Oregon, and does it make a difference how we do this lease depending on what kind of nonprofit? But this thing, when you're in the room on this. Okay. Okay. You got any questions, Eric?
No.
this anyway.
It was a good opportunity to communicate what was found and.
So I'm sure that was a good chance to touch base with them.
Yeah, it was a nice meeting.
They do have a relationship there, so.
They appreciated getting a copy of it as well. So, yeah. Well, thank you. A little better understanding. Thank you, guys.
Okay,
Thank you, Tony.
thanks, Tom.
Moving on to airport, Sandy, our airport manager, she has advertised a request for a proposal to solicit qualified aviation engineer firms for future projects up at the airport. She goes out for grants, and every other year, these projects take place. So it kind of lined up nice that our contract is about to end. It gives her time to set up this RFP, and then she will bring qualified proposals before this board to motion to enter into a contract based on the evaluation criteria after a bid opening. So the contract we've had with Century West for at least as long as I've been here, they've been great. You know our airport really, really well. I assume that they'll reapply, re-propose. We'll see. Corey is here, our weed manager, so I have nothing to report. He's got plenty, so he'll report on that.
All right.
For solid waste, just to note that there's been a lot of questions and concern about recycling cardboard it's just difficult for some of the businesses and even some of the homeowners with all the packages being delivered these days. We had a bigger receptacle put down at the South Transfer Station that doesn't require you break down boxes this small to put in the receptacle. So less burning, more recycling, and that's been done. Yeah.
Somebody else will break it down.
The recycler, no, it just allows, yes, it would end up going to the facility where they condense it down and truck it off. Yeah. The one you see, and you'll see them a lot in the public where, they have a small slot to stick everything in because it's not.
My answer is that ours, even with the small slots, within a week fill up. And we have 2 of them. And they fill up very fast. I'm thinking if you don't break the boxes down, it's gonna take up a lot more room and they'll probably fill up faster.
There is a lid on there that we just crack it open about yay high. So you can put stuff in that's 10 feet long if you want, but it still has to be broke down. Yeah. The Miller and Sons was concerned of the same thing, so they made sure they had one with a lid that could just be open so far. Parks are still closed. They're open up usually around Mother's Day. They have been busy. I'm working on trails, been building a lot of picnic tables. And then in the office, completing grants and updating contracts and working hard on budget deadlines. On the roads, doing a lot of maintenance out there, just adding rock to gravel roads and preparing for the upcoming chip seal and paving season. I'm working on drafting an updated crushing contract and requests for quotes. The contract that we're in right now for crushing is about to end at the end of this month. It is an old 5-year contract. I'm looking forward to getting that done. And then just also preparing documents, getting ready for paving and shipping this season. I'm keeping bridges on here for reporting, just the fact that it's a big project. We're getting a quote. They're still working on it. I haven't seen the bid from our engineering firm, Anderson and Perry, for a bridge master plan. That's going to help us prioritize all our bridge projects that we have. And first on my list is the restrictions that we have on the bridges around the county, getting them off first. So I'll leave that on so I can keep reporting on bridges. Any questions?
Just on part, the construction there, is that something is that a multi-year agreement or you negotiate that every year?
This last year was just 1 year.
So you have to do it again? Okay.
Yes.
Are they interested? Are you talking to them or?
Yes, great.
I'm talking about the
Yep. They've been in communications with at least one vendor I know that's interested.
Okay.
I believe it's not the same as the vendor that was last
Yeah,
time.
and I don't wanna get away with what you're doing there, I'm just kind of curious how that, if it was a ongoing thing or you're gonna look for anyone, so.
Yeah, no, this be a new contract for this next season.
Okay.
Anything else for?
Any other questions, Jeff? Any questions, Eric?
Nothing.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Good hearing from you.
Yeah, and report back and get more information on the museum contract.
You bet.
Yeah.
Excuse me. One thing. I just want to address the law snaky cemetery disposal billing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to bring that up or?
Hang on, my brain's turning here.
So
yes, please.
at the last meeting, we approved the
Thank you.
37.5% increase for sanitary disposal in other areas. Their first billing they sent out says your bill has been adjusted 37% as approved by the Morrow County Board of Commissioners. Without any further explanation on it. As such, I reached out to them and said that needs to change. You need to explain why the increase was there, not just that we were looking to charge you more. Our account rep profusely apologized and said that they would be notifying those people that it was an increase that they requested for operation expenses. It brings them in line with others around it, and that this was not something that the Board of Commissioners initiated. So they will be changing the language on those bills, but just in case you all get a call on that. So
The only thing I can add to that is talking to the rep, there were 90 of their customers were notified that way, so he blasted out some kind of mass text message just to them, so they had the information right away. Hopefully there won't be a phone call, but thank you, Matt, for handling that.
yeah, one of the customers was a staff member brought it up to our attention. I'm like, yeah, we need to fix that. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks so much. Okay, next up is your week report, Corey.
Thank you, Chair Sykes. Corey Sweeney, Morrow County Weed Supervisor. And this is my quarterly report for December, January, and February. I'm sure you guys have seen the quarterly report in the packet. It's pretty lengthy. I'll just touch on some highlights and discuss a few things about what I've been working on. So working through the month of December, attended a flowering rush meeting with several different agencies. We're still trying to tackle that on the Columbia River and getting it to spread downriver. And we have it on the banks of Morrow County. Attended a B2H meeting. Held meetings with Oregon Department of Energy regarding Wheat Ridge 1 and 2. Attended a meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers about contracted weed control. Worked with planning on future weed mitigation with energy entities coming into the county. Moving into December, I had numerous correspondences with the Oregon Department of Energy with Wheat Ridge 1 and 2. We picked up the new spray truck in Seattle and attended a work session and learning session on new equipment and apparatus. And that turned out great. That's a great piece of equipment. In February, held a weed meeting with Oregon Department of Energy, Planning Department, Sherman County Weed Department, and the county administrator regarding energy impacts with weed issues and possible weed energy coordinator or contracted consultant. And I'll come back to that. Attended a 3-day Oregon Vegetation Management Association conference with myself and my weed applicator to get our annual credits for our licensing. Attended the first quarterly compliance joint meeting with Tetra Tech, Nexera, Oregon Department of Energy, and Butterfield Spring and the county regarding Wheat Ridge 1 and 2. And then Morrow County was awarded a $13,000 Plumas Thistle grant that myself and the weed applicator will be conducting the survey. The grants for us for about 3 weeks to go out and survey where Plumas Thistle is found in Morrow County. It's only found in 3 sites in the state. It was found, it was never really explored where it came from or how it got here or where it had spread. And the county, back in I think 17 or 18, took helicopters, came in, it was all, the state came in and threw all their forces at it, knocked it out, got it out. Well, it resurfaced this year. And there's actually 2 plants from last year. Myself and Oregon Department of Energy went out and found those. And so we're going to be doing a 10,000 acre survey to make sure it doesn't escape the county and that we get every weed. Just that we'll take care of it because it's a very nasty situation, that Plumas Thistle. So that is it. Any questions before I touch on the energy with Wheat Ridge 1 and 2 and what's been going on there?
No, I have a question on that, so we go ahead and.
Okay, sure. So, Wheat Ridge 1 and 2, as you know, has been out of compliance, and there's been weed issues that have spread outside of site boundaries, that they're not in compliance with some revegetation sites. Areas need reseeding. It's just kind of a mess, but a lot of it has been taken care of since this time last year when I was first made aware of it and we talked about it and got on a path, but it's been kind of a slow process. But we got there, and Wheat Ridge, or I should say NextEra, is doing a great job getting in compliance. And the Oregon Department of Energy has been great working on that and getting them in compliance and working together. The issue has been the sheer scope and what it's taken to get there and move forward after, like, they're out of compliance, because they didn't really see it coming. There was a noxious weed draft plan in place. It was being followed, and still this happened. And it's been an exorbitant amount of work trying to get that in process. So I've been working with the Oregon Department of Energy. They, I told them, I said, look, this is a full-time job to get this back into play here. And it's a full-time job. And they said they never go for it. And they didn't really understand, I believe, at the time. And then more issues, more meetings, and then more energy entities coming into the county with B2H looking at coming in and all the other solar. And then she started adding the FTEs up, and well, you need an FTE for Wheat Ridge 1 and 2, just that. And I said, yeah, and to help with Wheat Ridge East and Wheat Ridge 3, that's a full-time position. She goes, B2H is a full-time position. And I said, and then you got all the other energy companies coming in, and she's like, there could be 3 full-time positions for this. I go, absolutely, there could be 3 full-time positions done right. I said, but I said, I don't know how we're going to get there, but I'd like to, we'd like to work together. We have worked together. We came up with a plan that I think will work for now. And they decided, they understood the Oregon Department of Energy, Sarah Esterson, who's the senior policy advisor. I think she's learned a lot. She says she's learned a lot because Morrow County is really the forefront of energy right now, right? And coming in. And NextEra has learned a lot. And about like what it takes to fulfill that noxious weed plan. And it's a lot, it's a heavy lift. And there has to be a coordinator, and there has to be more monitoring, all sorts of stuff. But they came up with a half-time position. They were, they entertained the thought about, we give the county the money to fund this, out of the weed department, and then they go ahead and do it, or does the county contract somebody out with their funds, or And this is all has to go out to procurement, right, with the contract and whatnot. We hit an easy button where Haley and Aldrich will be getting a halftime person to do this. And Nextera will be paying for it, and that person is Bink Ramus, who's been familiar with the county as basically a coordinator, and to see this through, because literally the last month, if you look at my February, I mean, it's not just Wheat Ridge 1 and 2, but all of them. It's been a full-time job. I haven't been able to do anything other than really concentrate on this last month, and it's been like this for a while because of, you know, all the draft plans coming down and coordination and questions meetings. And so we got that halftime person in place 2 years. Nextera is going to pay for it. We just have to look in the future, because Wheat Ridge 1 and 2 being out of compliance is just the tip of the iceberg with all the other energy companies. I mean, we really got lucky that this hit our radar and we jumped on it, and it's been 4 years now, and we're taking care of it. But if all those other energy companies come in and they have more extensive draft plans than this, it could be a nightmare scenario as far as weeds escaping in the county and creating monocultures of star thistle and Russian knapweed and skeleton weed. And so the main focus here is the impact, the economic impact. And from Oregon Department of Energy's numbers and reports, it could cost the county, and I believe this, and I have documents from the reports, is that it could cost $1 billion to the county in weed control if it's not done right. And so it has to be done right, and we gotta figure out a way how to take care of this and move forward. Right now, we have 2 years at a halftime position, and realistically, it's not enough, but it's a baby step. And Nextera has come a long ways in Wheat Ridge 1 and 2, and the Oregon Department, I just say the state of Oregon wants all this clean energy, right? And they want it to come to Morrow County. You know, I think maybe they should help with this a little bit. I think the energy companies that get subsidized, maybe they're not getting subsidized enough, but they're making money on it. They should help with this a little bit. But right now, it's been on Morrow County and the weed district and myself to keep the glue together and get all this coming together. And that can't happen. It's too much, and I got to set it off. Myself and lead operator will be spraying. I mean, it's too much. We can't go any further with that. So, but Nextera has done, I believe, a great job trying to rectify things, easy to work with, not quite understanding, but getting it. I think the Oregon Department of Energy is really starting to realize that, like, this is a big deal and there's big problems. So, no, that's a lot, but that's what I've been, every day. It seems like the last month, that's one energy company or another correspondence, landowner, big on landowners have been coming to me. So, yeah. Any questions or thoughts like that? Okay.
You, when they signed the SIP agreement with Nextera,
yeah,
is that the point you signed the weed agreement?
Well, once the noxious weed draft plan gets signed off on, right? Yes, it's almost like a conditional use. Like, okay, that box is checked.
There's a separate agreement that you signed with Nextera, just covering weeds, or is it part of something else? Again, I'm trying to remember.
That's one of the, I believe, loopholes. Is it's in there as a blueprint to abide by, but the noxious weed draft plans are broken.
You know, I'm glad Eric's come around, because you signed those road agreements, don't you?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to equate weeds with roads.
It is becoming the same, and it's not a condition of approval, road use agreement is.
Yeah.
And the weed should be. Tamara's been working with Corey a lot on getting that changed, but I believe it's not a condition of approval.
Right.
but needs
No,
to be.
what's the teeth, do you have teeth in that if things get out of line on those road agreements? You make quite a few of them now.
Yes. Yeah, if they don't comply, we shut them down. They can't continue.
And you can't shut energy down once that happens.
No, I think they could,
I'm talking about the construction.
yeah, no, yeah, construct, that's right, because,
I'm talking,
okay, once they go into operation, you don't really mess with it anymore, do you?
no, the road use agreement has been, is completed and, then they're just operating. And that's where Corey's been working so hard on, getting this weed mitigation plans to where there is teeth and I'm not just going to court over it 5 years later and then the weeds have already spread through the county.
Because, I go back to, I don't remember, I talked about it, the, Commissioner Don Russell, he put in, he wanted intermittent lighting on the top of the last one, so the red lights aren't on all the time. It didn't work, I don't even know if it works now.
It worked really well, actually.
Does it? Okay.
I might disagree some. Yeah, I remember, I worked on that. I remember many years that wasn't working. So now every time I drive back, I'm always like looking over the hillside of Hermiston on one side where I know they don't have that turn. I look at our side, I'm like watching red, I'm like, and for a while it was an issue. It's still maybe off and on, but man, it's a lot better than they.
Technology.
Okay, and the main thing I wanna talk about too is that I sat through the getting them to comply with that. They have this, because the light people, this is kind of off the weeds, but the light, people that put the lights in are a totally different company. So they were there trying to explain to Mike Norman and me on why it wasn't working, but if that was built into the SIP agreement, that those would be done. And there was talk of, hey, we can send them a letter and say, you're gonna lose your tax abatement if you don't solve this. But as far as teeth in a weed agreement, what do you got on that?
It's our county ordinance and fines really aren't big enough, I mean, it wouldn't be much teeth for them, but Oregon Department of Energy, they have all the weight, they have all the hammer, because it's under their contract.
Give me an example of a hammer. You said they won't shut it down.
They won't shut them down.
What's a hammer? What kind of hammer is it?
A great big fine, let's just say $5,000 a day to get back into weed compliance.
Well, what I'm getting at is, because like you said, I mean, we got, see, our new solar farm, Sunridge, is already done deal as far as their tax abatement deal. It was different as a pilot program, but there's another one coming, near it, 5,000 acres, I think. And these are all acreage that farmers used to keep the weeds down. Now, is the weeds more difficult to take care of on a solar farm?
It's extremely difficult to
I would
take
think,
care
I
of.
would just looking at it.
You think about a farmer that has 10,000 acres that goes out with an Apache sprayer with a 90-foot boom, and he only has so many days in the spring to spray, and he could get 1,000 acres a day. If he gets those 10 good spray days, he'll cover it with a 90-foot boom on those 10,000 acres. Now you're talking about 10,000 acres of solar with little bitty rows as wide as this table, and only going in so far, coming back out because of drop lines that are not buried in the ground. And it's just a nightmare scenario. Yesterday, I had a contractor from out of state call me and say, look, I know you want me over here, doing more stuff, but I just got called yesterday on another one out of county, wind farm or solar out of county. So there's 1,400 acres, complete fail. We're looking at reseeding the whole thing. What do? We start over from ground zero, 1,400 acres reseeding the solar project. And how do you do that when you can't even, so, yeah, and we're talking about just spraying the weeds, not.
Right.
I tried conveying a point to Sunstone. I said, look, if it costs $45,000 to do this little 300-acre solar project right here, and you times that by 30 by your size, you're going to be in the millions of dollars in weed abatement just every year. You got to think about it. We gotta come up with a plan.
That's money that they reimburse the county.
No, that's money that they would have to spend each year just on weed abatement on 10,000.
They don't reimburse the county. They take care of it.
They would take care of it themselves. Yeah, it could cost up to $1 million just in weed abatement if they spray it out twice, mow it, how other applications have been done to get in compliant or to get a good job done for.
So if by them taking care of it, they don't hire the contractors, you're taking care of that.
No,
Oh,
they hire the contractors
okay.
or they take care of themselves.
Okay.
I had a contractor, contact me about that issue that he was having. Because he was looking at coming into the county for more of these entity programs. And so that's how we got to talk, and that's why he called me yesterday.
So your role is like compliance.
Is just compliance, that's it, just compliance, yeah. Compliance and investigation, and Oregon Department of Energy wants, you know, they need somebody to be there to say, okay, they're doing what they're supposed to.
You know, does your department get, or the county get reimbursed for any of that? No?
No, don't get reimbursed
You
for it.
talk about the amount of time you're starting to spend, you talk
Yeah.
about the number of facilities that are gonna start coming in, and there's more, I heard.
It's a lot, and I've been trying to schedule meetings to like,
Maybe it's something we could do, but.
something has to be done, because how I originally got involved was weed complaints to the weed district, to the, you know, that fell under me, and compliance, and that's how it came to me, and it's been numerous landowners, and they're not screaming mad, yelling, you know, like they're like, we got to take care of this, and we got to come up forward with a plan. Well, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. I wouldn't say it's gotten worse, but it's going to get worse moving down the road with these new energy companies coming in. We're just getting started, so.
Because if a solar farm here gets weeds out of control, farmer over here encroaches on something that he's been working his whole life to knock down, right?
It could affect their neighbors, and yes, for sure, that's where that big economic number comes in.
Economic farm, their crops, right?
It absolutely could, yeah.
It seems pretty important to me, especially with the big rush you see coming into this county. To get this, that you gotta make sure that you don't have to spend a lot of time making them do what they're supposed to be doing, you know? Well,
Right.
Get reimbursed.
Should get reimbursed. Well, and we're billing them because for our compliance time and stuff, we got, but it's not, it's probably not enough. But, yeah, it's just a lot of time, and there is a need for it. It's just, how do we get there? Who's gonna pay for it?
When we, let's see, what point, okay, we're getting ready to do a SIP agreement, we've been notified.
Yeah.
By, Reed.
Yeah.
Is this the point we should start thinking about this?
Absolutely. That's why I've been trying to work with Tamara and planning, and Eric and I have been getting together and trying to figure this in for weed mitigation, because it needs to be funded, and it needs to be.
Maybe you could do a cost analysis on what your time you're spending and what, say, so much if you got per acre, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then give it to Matt or somebody and we could try it.
Well, my figures aren't enough. I've given to Oregon Department of Energy and Eric, and I had, but yeah, it's got to be, yes, yeah.
We're going into this talk, I've got emails from Reed. They're getting ready to move, you know?
Yep, they want to move.
I don't know, have you in on the discussions, have a budget there that you want, okay. That's how much we want, it might be more than the last one, but we found it's possible.
I was figuring, if all the energies combined were to do 10% of their megawatts, so 50,000 or 500 megawatts, energy entity come in, that'd be 50,000 a year that they would put towards a weed coordinator for that'd just be that'd just be one. So then the next one that's 125 megawatt solar farm that's only 200 acres, that would be $12,000, and piece it together. But I still don't think that's going to get there. I think it's got to be more and bigger than that.
Well, like I said, we're going into, and the deal's done with some things, right? The weed.
Sunstone, yeah,
Sunstone,
yeah.
Wheatstone. The weed deal's done with them, but.
The weed deal is not done with.
Oh, it's
No,
not?
No,
We'll see, maybe now's the time for you to crunch some numbers and let's get that.
Yes.
Find out, and then we'll be ready for Libra G's, we'll be ready for Sunstone. What's the name of the new one coming in? The 4,900 acre one, I forget. You remember that one?
There's One Energy that has one proposed, is that the 500? I'm not sure.
5,000 acres.
Yeah,
It's at F-sec now, I think, or getting close, but, so here they come.
yeah.
And if you would, crunch some numbers, get some real good figures, you could use that as like a template. If you're gonna do all of these,
Yeah, yes. And that's, I guess, my job is just to educate and let it be known that this is kind of what because if you don't know, you don't know. And so in my presentations and my working with.
Okay.
That's my steps. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Sit down and so you don't really.
I don't
really negotiate the weed cost.
I go through the weed draft plan and I make red line edits and recommendations and whatnot. And so, but the trouble is, those draft plans, those weed mitigation, it's not cutting it at all. It's not enough. It's and it's all, you look at it, it's very complex. It's just not working.
Whoever negotiates with them on the weed deal, whether it's you, I would like to have.
I deal with the aftermath.
Yeah,
and
then
that's what I do.
you're the one that can give us the analysis of this is what it costs.
Yes,
And this
absolutely.
is what we're getting paid, there's a shortfall that the county's having to eat.
Yeah.
Let's take care of that moving forward, so that's kind of what.
Well, I would really think they'd want to take care of it too, because I think NextEra is really understanding like, oh, this is gonna cost quite a bit, like this is a big deal, we gotta get this right.
But yeah, they're taking care of it. Your role, right here, go back to the county's role and our cost is through compliance enforcement. That's
compliance and deal with the landowners who have the issues, the taxpayers that come
not
and
the
say,
actual
we got.
weed mitigation, but the compliance.
No.
That's where our cost is getting expended.
And all the meetings and all the mitigation, the aftermath and
See,
mitigation.
that's the figure I want.
The aftermath
And
mitigation.
how do we recover that?
Yeah.
The actual weed mitigation is handled by them.
Right. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get to here is a lot of this could be negotiated and a lot of this could be taken care of up front, so it's not so much on the back end.
Yeah.
And then we're not having weed issues on the back end either. It's getting done right.
You believe that if we get ahead of this, that you won't end up with a big dollar amount at the end?
We will not, it'll save the county 1,000-fold just by getting
in
the
front end, yes. Yeah.
What about, just throw something out there, what about the other site, the data farm? How could we?
They're doing great because they want a zero weed facility and total site. You know, they want to be able to make sure and see everything, so they do a great job, in my opinion. Yeah, they'll definitely create issues for neighbors in disturbance and starting, but that's usually taken care of and.
If we're doing it, let's do it or whatever.
Right, yeah.
On Tower Road,
Yeah.
300 acres, but you don't want it out there, you know.
The inside of the facilities are great, yeah, and yeah. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you for your time.
Okay, did Jessica come back?
She did provide a.
We got a red report, yeah, I didn't know she. Just planned on. Anyway. Okay, that concludes the department report. We only want to correspondence. We got, you can see our correspondence with the.
What, Dave?
Yeah, you know, you're totally dark. It's like, an anonymous, interview here.
Well, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I got kind of a window behind me, but if whether I have my light on or off, I'm always dark.
No, that's, what do you got for that, guys? You got any, reports you want to make?
No, just tomorrow is a NEACT meeting. I of course will be attending that one Zoom because my exposure to my wife having COVID, and then also Friday will be a Korea meeting, which is scheduled for Zoom anyway. So
Yeah, no, I'm just on around a lot. Opinions. Tell you about my vacation, you know, yourself.
I do like that. Yeah, don't really have anything either. I mean, going to regular meetings, so I know that I'm on the Capco board. And, Dave, just for your info, they have, purchased the old East Oregonian building. So just for your information, I don't know if you ever been to their offices or just sitting on. So that's where they're at now. That's. About it, that's like all I have, so. Oh, I've got a schedule to meet with, and I think they're gonna check with you guys too, is to meet with the, AWS people. Did they contact, did Jamie contact you?
I haven't.
Okay, they're going to, they always wanna let the public know, the benefits are given into a community are way better when they first came here, you know that, right, Jeff? And so they're really doing a good job, and I told her that's a good thing because, people that are confronted with, information, you want to know if that's true or not, So they're working on that. And also they were talking about having a tour set up inside one of those mysterious buildings. I don't know if anybody has ever been in there. I haven't done that. She says, you want to go? I said, yeah. And she goes, well, what about the other commissioners? I said, yeah, I think we can go to those kind of things without having a quorum problem that you gotta ask. They quorum all the time, all the time. Inside the AWS building. But get us on separate tours. Anyway, that's all I got, so. Okay, so we're gonna now move to executive session and we're gonna have somebody.
There's a point on this, Chair, council pointed out that the issue that we were going to discuss pursuant to ORS 192.660, section 8, that the issue that we have is not covered underneath that. And that the issue is not privileged for executive session. As such, I can't recommend going into an executive session, but knowing the issue, if we want to open the agenda to allow us to have a short discussion with a request.
If we want more information, we take a 5-minute break and talk about it some more and come back.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's why you requested, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so we're gonna.
5-minute break.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna call a break and then figure that out. Yeah, okay. Hey, we're gonna have a regular meeting back in order.
Great, thank you. On the agenda this morning, there was a schedule for an executive session. I'll maybe double check, really try to look at it and see whether sort of parts fit. The item that was going to be discussed in executive session, I looked at, but I don't think this fits exactly that aspect. And so request at this point, or the person requesting it, I think it'll be to have it as part of adding it to the business items, this discussion. It's in a public meeting, not an executive session. And so whether the board commissioners would be inclined to want to add this as a business item, we can explain it and have it more in the public meeting this time.
Okay. it'd be okay to add it, even though it wasn't on the agenda.
It's closer, I mean, I think our general practice is to, like be more notice on them, but I think, it was added in executive session, it was thought it was gonna be in it, but it needs to be converted, looks like to business item, but I can understand the board of commissioners' decision saying, hey, we feel more comfortable adding this to another meeting. I just think there are some time constraints where, they thought, hey, maybe it's better to try to do it now.
There is time constraint. So what's your preference, Jeff? Roy, you wanna add it? Open session?
Whatever you want to do, Dave.
Yep. Whatever you decide, but
I'm okay with it.
times of the essence.
It's important, so. Okay. Let's figure out exactly what we're gonna call this, but. Anyway, I'll let Matt.
I would,
Administrator request.
yes, request from administrator to amend employment agreement.
Okay.
The only issue that I'm asking for consideration on at this time is in my employment agreement, there's a requirement to live within the boundaries of Morrow County. We've lived here 6 months. Our full intention was to dive in and get involved with the community. A couple of the issues that we ran into is housing shortage and availability, and it's really tied our hands. And I would not be naive enough not to say that the current political winds have caused some issues. I want to be fully committed to Morrow County. It does have an impact on my family, and I would ask that for the commission to waive the requirement to reside within Morrow County. I would substitute. I don't want to live in Portland or anything like that, but we have a lot of staff who live right across the border in Umatilla, and they serve exemplary for our county, and certain areas of right outside our county are actually closer to the county seat than certain areas within our county that I could live in. And so if the commission would still want a mileage limit, I would propose like a 60 or 75 mile limit from the county seat in order for responsiveness and nature. I just ask for that consideration so we can make some final plans and proceed with getting my family all settled down and take care of things. So.
Thoughts?
Well, I'll throw out there that we had discounted a former applicant for that very reason. So puts a little bit of a weight on me to accept it with having not given a different individual the same. So in our search for county administrator, we did exclude one person because they weren't willing to live within our county. So I have a hard time making an exception at this point for that very reason. That's just my personal thought.
Jeff?
I understand where Matt's coming from, but I do tend to agree with Junior that, especially since we had disqualified one candidate for that specific reason. Not that I don't have empathy for Matt in his situation, but
I fully understand as well. Just I believe it put us in a bit of a position that I don't want to be in. Okay. Sorry.
This is a very, very unique position. I don't know how far you want to go into this, Matt, on personal stuff that you've been hit with. I've seen some stuff and messages that were written to him and told by him that are disgusting. They're vile. People are attacking him personally. And it's I mean, I wouldn't want that happening to my family. You know, I've been called some names over my time, but some of this stuff is awful, what they're telling him. So I'll just leave it at that, and like I said, if you're by yourself, that's one thing, but when you have a wife and child, and you're trying to make your home in a community, and people are telling you these things, just awful messaging. Yeah, anyway, that's just my pitch on the thing. It's a very unique situation. We're in a very tippy area right now. A lot on the plate. So I don't know if we could do a conditional one-time thing or not, but I just want to think about it. It's just more than just, if this was just regular, well, I get a better deal on a house, or, that would be different, but these are extenuating circumstances and I've seen them with my own eyes, and I've heard them with my own ears, and it's just a different situation, and the things, the controversies going on right now are just,
They are unprecedented.
think about what's gonna happen,
They are unprecedented.
so anyway, that's my pitch. I don't know if you want me to go a little farther on what you've been told and what's happened to you. Well, he was attacked for his religion.
Yes.
He was attacked on his religion. I read one message where they used the F-bomb multiple times, called him a SOB, and why did he leave? These are not who you think they might be. These are regular, members of the community. And your wife sits there and reads that stuff. How would you feel? It's disgusting. Was there,
And that's the thing, my wife and I have relocated to several areas. Most of the time we have, our aim was to live in the community, to be engaged in the community. And we've done that successfully on multiple areas, and my participation in county and community events would not be diminished by consideration of living across the county line. For peace of mind and and mental health. A little anonymity for my wife and child would be appreciated, which cannot be achieved, unfortunately, in the current political winds anywhere within the county.
When a man comes to you and tells you his wife doesn't feel safe in the community, and believe me, you probably met her. She's a strong woman. I mean, in my opinion, just the part that I've met her. And so is Matt. They have a strong personality. But when they come to you and tell you that, I mean, I get upset thinking, is this the way Moore County treats people? Apparently now, it sounds like the business is done here.
It's unfortunate, and I wholeheartedly feel that if there is a way we can do it without getting ourselves in trouble, I'm just not willing to make that commitment today, not knowing what we might be up against. So I'd be willing to talk to HR and see if there's some kind of a process that we can go through to.
And my understanding is that, this isn't code requirement. This was just a preference that was stated in. And a lot of times there is a code requirement saying the chief administrative office manager it needs to reside in the county. This was just put in as a, and I even have to check if it's in the job description. It was just more or less in the job posting of the position, and is not outlined in ordinance anyway. In fact, I'll double check on that just real quick. Yeah, in the job description or the adopted job description, I don't see anything about requirement delay. So that was just put in through the job posting and the employment offer letter. The biggest thing is ramifications for the other candidate that was excluded during a previous posting.
Right, that's my concern, there could be a discrimination issue there. So, I fully understand where you're coming from. I don't disagree. Just want to be careful.
So does he have some direction here, or you wanna weigh in on this, Jeff? Do we give him that any direction, or are we gonna let just pass on all this?
So maybe would it be appropriate to have our council look into what our potential exposure would be? I think that's along the lines of what Junior was getting at.
That's something we can work on, reach out, HR, but also have them work with their HR council, because we know some parts of their special aspects of the county, we can touch base with human resources and then have them reach into HR council and deal with this some too, to see if they see issues, just so that no matter what way the board wishes to go, at least they know any liability if there is any legal issues with it.
Because I agree with you, Dave, what he's having to put up with is unacceptable.
And, you know, Jeff, Roy, we're all married, you know, and granted, it's, you know, it's, but when you think about your family getting this, you know, it's one, if you one thing, you know, but I'm sure you guys are very, you know, but when it's, you know, you go, the family, well, he didn't sign up for this, but did the family, the personal attacks are disgusting. And I said, I've seen them, I've heard of them.
And not to say that this position shouldn't have a certain level of thick skinnedness written into the job description. I'm not oblivious to the exposure of the public eye on this position, and it's part of the challenges that I enjoy. It's just this, the realities that we faced are not normal, and so we're asking for consideration. Understood.
Boy, I could go further, but I'm not gonna. You know, how this happened, why is this happening? There's a lot could be said about that. And what this shows about this county. He's a guy that's just trying to do his job. You know? No, it's, if I get going, I'm getting in there, so that's just my pitch.
I will ask the council to look into what ramifications there may be. Report back to and then report back in. But I'm good for having a special meeting if we need to get this done sooner than 2 weeks from now.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It is, I'm not prepared today to.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to address it one way or the other. You know, I need to get no one or the other to move forward. So, okay. Is there any other business to come before the commission? Hearing none. Adjourn and sign documents.
So I'll just let Valerie know she can use an electronic signature for anything that I would needed to sign since I'm not in person.
Thank you, I was gonna ask that.